Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Creative Scale. My name is Heidi. I'm Costume Co, and I have two beautiful, lovely, talented ladies who are joining me today to talk about Lovecraft Country. Oh,
That's me.
I'm
That's
talking.
me.
Um, and Anyway, we're doing episode 9. I can't believe we're almost at the end, and it was an incredibly riveting episode. But first, before we get into it, I want to introduce my cohort, my partner in crime, Rebecca Shadowcat Bex. Woo!
Hi, everyone. Wow, I'm still like emotionally traumatized a little bit from this episode.
Absolutely.
Same.
And
Yeah.
along with Rebecca, unfortunately, and just to mention, unfortunately, John couldn't be here tonight. So in his stead, we have the beautiful, lovely Tanya, who joined us a
Hi.
couple of episodes ago, and we had such a great
Yes.
time with you. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm Tanya from A Thousand Eyes in One podcast.
And also, Tanya, I've put her links in the description below. So if you guys want to follow her, she's on Twitter and she has the podcast. And where else can people find you, Tanya?
You can go to thousandeyespodcast.com and it has the links to all of our episodes. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram as A Thousand Eyes in One and Twitter, Thousand Eyes One.
And is it mostly like Game of Thrones that you talk about, or what types of things do you talk about on your show?
So far, we've only talked about Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire, but we've been getting into talking about other speculative fiction, but we haven't posted any recent episodes.
So, and of course, Rebecca and I know each other from Game of Thrones as well. So we're all huge fans. Most people here are big fans of Game of Thrones. So you won't, yeah, you're going to make some other friends, Tanya, from this crowd.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say hello to everyone who's here. Of course, Linda's here, and Rebecca and I popped into her show last night. It was really fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she had this guy who was who was like a background player, an extra in Game of Thrones. That was so cool, and he's going to be in this new show about Vikings, starring Alexander Skarsgård. And I was like, oh my god, called The Northman. So I was like very excited about that.
I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's about Vikings, and it's got Alexander Skarsgård, and it's got some background players from Game of Thrones. What it's going to be just amazing. As well, we have Shatara's here.
Hi, Shatara.
We have Apparently Human. I love these people because I just see them everywhere. Like everywhere I go, they're there. I love that.
Peter Griffin is here.
Peter Griffin's here. Percy Garcia. And I think we got everyone so far. So we're going to have a small crowd, but it's going to probably grow as the show goes on. All right. So, girls. Let's get serious now.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the episode is called Rewind 1921. What were your initial thoughts of the episode?
I love this episode. But I also probably have like the most amount of problems with the episode that I've had with any of the episodes. The first half, and not even like the first timeline or time wise, but like our first few scenes, I was very worried and very disappointed with, and I'm a little bit worried about the implications for next week's episode, but overall, like this episode I think was my favorite of the season, and it's really like Michael Kenneth Williams was just like devastating. That was the most devastating performance.
I really like the episode. Oh, I can't hear Costume Co. You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I really liked the episode, but I also found it incredibly heartbreaking, and it actually gave me a tension headache.
Yeah, you were mentioning that yesterday on Twitter, and then when you went to rewatch it, the same thing happened again.
Yeah, I got a tension headache again.
Isn't that crazy? And is it just what was your feeling going like watching it, like while you were watching it?
Well, so in general, I'm not particularly sensitive to violence in the shows and movies I watch, but when I know that it's real, that it's things that have really happened, it affects me in a different way. And I think that's why I started getting so tense, because I kept just thinking like this really happened to people. And during the Tulsa scenes, and I think that's what kind of sparked the tension, which then led to just like a full tension headache.
Yeah, it was absolutely really stressful. Rebecca asked me how I responded, and I said, "Well, I'm on medication, so I don't know. Somehow it kind of like,
I literally, like, afterwards, I just drank some bourbon and went to bed.
yeah,
Like, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to bed. I can't even do this.
absolutely." It was funny because there was one time I watched this movie called Melancholia, and it completely destroyed me. I don't know, and Alexander Skarsgård's in that as well. It completely destroyed me. So sometimes when a movie does really hit me, it just like I'll be completely a mess. So I don't know. Somehow I managed to detach myself. I think partly what it was is that I didn't know anything about the story going in. And that might have made it a bit easier for me, as opposed to somebody who knew about the actual events. Any other thoughts regarding the, Rebecca, do you want to just get into it as we go along about the storytelling and the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, everyone. Hi, Jenya. Jenya's here. She said she drank whiskey.
Was it wine or I can't remember what I was drinking.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, speaking of whiskey, before we get into the show, I just want to do a plug for Rebecca and I, because we're going to do a Halloween special, but we're going to do it on October 30th, which is a Friday, and we're doing it about the show or the movie Clue, which Rebecca got me onto, and of course I love it. And the costumes were done by Michael Kaplan, who is like one of my favorite costume designers. He did Blade Runner, like, my God. So that's very cool. And most of the new Star Wars movies. But so speaking of whiskey, or, maybe it would be, they have what, cognac, or they have port. Brandy. So we'll probably be having some cocktails, and we're going to dress up. So if, even if you guys haven't seen the movie, you have to pop in and see us wearing probably something slightly outrageous, if I can get something together in time.
Yeah.
And that'll be on my channel. So anyway, I'll leave a link to the stream because it's already ready to go. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the cold open, Rebecca.
Yes. So compared to like the other cold opens, usually it's a little bit more of a tease as far as what's going to happen in the episode, or this big reveal. The only thing that really
sorry.
Oh no,
okay.
Don't say sorry ever. We've got kitty cats too.
Oh yeah, but it was the cold open was very weird because we actually ended up having like two scenes. It wasn't just trying to evaluate like now what's going to happen with D. It was having like that big confrontation. We're going to figure out what's going to happen with D. Ruby's like, I'm going to get Christina. And then boom, all of a sudden Christina's there. Normally like cold opens like usually like is a little bit more of a self-contained scene. Like you wouldn't be jumping around in time. I'm not really sure why they did that. There must have been a pacing decision after they watched the rough cuts and decided like, no, we need a little bit more setup. But I wasn't sure why. I thought it was just like very imbalanced to me.
Yeah. What about you, Tanya? What do you think?
I was surprised that it went to another scene, because I was expecting to see like that beginning graphic that they've done for each one where they show the character's face and then it turns into some kind of monster or whatever. So I thought we were going to see like a Topsy and Bopsy graphic, and I was kind of waiting for that. But I don't know. I wasn't particularly bothered by it. I was just a little bit surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was bothered by it, but it was also a little bit like, oh, this feels weird. And then later on, I guess we'll talk about like the curse reversal or reset. Like it just kind of seemed a little bit of a miss, because I'll go into that as we go on.
Yeah. Well, this picture I have here. Sorry, it's not actually from that scene, but I just was going to show it to you because of the clothes or what have you. Rebecca, are you going to talk about you're going to talk a little bit about the music tonight?
Yes.
On behalf of John.
Yes.
So, and actually it's funny because I did there. One of the songs you have, I was like, oh my god, I have to look up what that is. So we'll talk about it when we get to it. Uh, Percy says, I dubbed my two daughters Topsy and Popsy. And Linda said, I thought we would see the girls lingering around. I think they were inside her though. Isn't that what it was? The idea that she's absorbed them or something. That's what Jack said to me. I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of maybe what we'll just go ahead and talk, because once we finally get to the point where they're ready to perform like the curse reversal, all of a sudden, like, she's full on Topsy and Bopsy. Like, she is totally turned into them, which, like, that was a huge jump, like, for me, that they could have teased out a little bit better, because, like, at the end of the cold open, yeah, there was stuff going on her face and on her arms, but it didn't.
Her hair wasn't braided.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like there just seemed to be like that transformation. And I'm fine with things happening off screen. That's fine. That seemed to be a bit of a big one. And that would have been awesome had, like, instead of jumping to the scene with Christina, or even after the scene with Christina, if like you saw more of her actually transforming. So we can, like, when we do actually see like the full Topsy Bopsy, that it didn't feel so out of left field. But that also comes after Hippolyta's like, what's wrong with my daughter, just like reappears,
showing up. Yeah. So in the book, what the curse did was it made the things around her become, I don't know, haunted, possessed, or whatever, and try to kill her. So that's why it was like Topsy and Bopsy from the book, because she went into the bathroom and that book was in there. And in the book, there's like a doll that someone has, this like kind of monster doll, and he's a boy in the book. He hates it, and then like it follows him, and it like follows him down the street, and like, everything around him, like the characters come alive and basically try to kill him.
Hi, Alicia. Alicia's here. Alicia's in the house. In terms of, I don't know, like I kind of, there's been some people who have been complaining a little bit about the CGI. I think it might be a budget thing. Maybe they just, they don't have enough money to do it. It's kind of like, Game of Thrones, when they were like, oh, there we do, we're going to do the dire wolves, I don't know,
Whispering Woods. Yeah, I was thinking about that, quite a bit. Like, this is still a first season of a new show. Like, you're not going to get the crazy budget, but there's still things. I don't know. There's still things that they could have done to, it was a lot to pack in. And where I will give the show a lot of credit, every minute that was spent in 1921 was worth it. I don't, at the end of the day, like, as far as like the fact that the first, handful of scenes were really sloppy, like, I still wouldn't like take it away to like take anything away from like our scenes in Tulsa. I think it's like they have like a lot of big story ideas. And I think like there is a budget issue. I didn't mind the planes. I know some people.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mind that either.
I didn't mind the planes at all. And so, and I actually think for the most part, the CGI in this show is really, really good.
Yeah, I think the effects in the show are amazing. I feel like they're kind of gunning for an effects award.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, like the special effects one that bothered me the most, I think, was when they're in Artem and they do, like, I think there was that portal opens up where Atticus is supposed to go through and like he's wearing the sort of the ceremonial robes.
Oh, in the second episode.
The second episode. That one looked kind of a little bit bad, but I didn't mind the portals in this one. I thought it was interesting. They made them kind of jagged, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
I
love that it was like beating.
And it was beating, exactly. And she was like, kind of like, she was energizing it. So I thought that was kind of cool. We can get to that when we get to that point.
Yeah, like Shatara says it in the chat. Like they're just having a hard time, like, wrapping up these storylines. And and I guess like the one question, it's like, then were they like really well served like throughout the whole season, having like these very like, long, like travel episodes, like, the episode in Korea, Hippolyta's episode. I still wouldn't take those away. I just think they had a lot of big story ideas, and they're snipping it. They have to like tie it all together. I think the end product's worth it. So
Yeah,
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Tanya.
I was gonna say, I think that doing those, individual episodes with like the individual character episodes were really important, because it showed us the background of these people and what's going on with them in a way that, a few lines of exposition just can't do.
Yeah.
That's very J.J. Abrams too, right? Like he's one of the producers. Like they do that in Lost. They would take a character and kind of focus on that one character, and you get to kind of know them a bit. That's what you can sort of, and obviously we were talking about Jordan Peele. We sort of see a lot of his influence as well. But okay, well, the only thing I was going to talk about with the clothing is funny, because I was reading this thing. We've been talking about red on Letty, and why is Letty wearing red? And there was an article that was written just recently. It might have been Vanity Fair, talking about the color in the show. And there's lots of color, right? Have you noticed that, like compared to Game of Thrones?
Oh.
Like, so for instance, like this isn't the scene, but I just wanted to show it to you guys, and everyone in the chat can sort of let me know what you think. So we've got these like really, really great pops of color. And again, I was looking up, yesterday I was looking up sort of palettes from the 50s. So yeah, like really in the summer, in the warm months, really vivid colors would have been very, very big, and red would have been a big color. But the costume designer, she did say that she did like to put Letty in red, like just, for pops of color, like she put it in the lining of her dress, her green fringe dress, or she would put it in her capri pants. But I'm trying to figure out why they put other characters, like Christina in this episode is wearing red. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is, other than maybe just she wants really nice bold color against, maybe a darker setting like this. So you've got Letty in yellow, which we oftentimes see Montrose in, and then we've got Montrose in sort of like a peachy color, and then we've got, this is one of my favorite looks for Atticus, again, never looking bad in anything, is this sort of like really beautiful, like he could wear this nowadays, this outfit he's wearing here, this sort of these like chocolate brown, sort of, they're almost reddy brown pants, like jeans, and then this beautiful sort of blue color, which looks amazing on him. So and Hippolyta comes back wearing the same outfit she left in. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So that's the same, although she looks kind of disheveled. So it's like she's come through the portal, and where did she come through, by the way? Like, did she come through the oratory or wherever it's called, or did she just, I don't know, could someone explain to me where she came from?
I don't think we know.
Yeah.
No, I was reading something about it though, and I think the idea is that she came back the same way she traveled to those other places while she was in the portal. She mentions having spent, for her, 200 years. She may have just said like, all right, I'm home.
Well, this is something, another criticism, and this is probably a writing thing as well, like the, Deus Ex Machina or whatever it's called. How do you say that, Rebecca? Deus Ex Machina?
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina. Thank you.
Come on.
Like jump the shark.
Well, I wonder, one thing I thought about, because I think it was like the guys from Shoggoth Surprise they did not like that. And I was wondering, like,
what, her reappearing?
Like her reappearing out of nowhere. And my biggest problem, like I'm willing to forgive, a lot of, big story jumps in a show like this, as long as like they make like that, like if her entrance had been as dramatic as the music, like she was like, it was anticlimactic, except for like this like very big music hit that did not feel right with the episode. Like even if like they changed the camera angle and made it a little bit of a Dutch angle, like did something a little bit more than just she like waltzes in, made it a little bit more visually dramatic, I I probably would have been more fine with it. Or the other thing I was thinking about, like, what if they had done like an Avengers style, like, you know, like, what do they call those, like post-credit scenes? Like, even because we had been away from her for an episode, and I think we were expecting such a big, like, how is she going to get back? What are they going to have to do to get her back? And, you know, even if we just had like this one scene that was a little bit different than the last place that we saw her in her episode, and then she just says, like, I'm ready, and poof, like they could have done a lot with
Yeah,
that.
and I think some people argued, why did she come at the time she did? Why didn't she come before this happened?
Well, that will get into a lot of, why did they go to Tulsa like the night of like the riots began?
Right, why not the day before?
Yeah, why not the day before? And they could have
Yeah.
just like snuck into the house, you know, like, because it's not interesting storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We're still,
Tony's
we're
here.
still
Hi,
watching the
Tony.
show.
All right, someone said hi to Tony. I think he's here.
Hi,
Vanessa.
Tony.
Oh, there he is. Hi, dude.
Yeah.
Hi, Tony. Okay, so let's move along. We're going to talk about William and Captain Lancaster, which is actually, this is at least a payoff, right? We had a payoff here.
A little bit.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But at least people were like, I don't think he's dead. Is he dead? I don't think he's dead. Tanya, did you think Captain Lancaster was dead when you watched the last episode?
I assumed he was dead, but I did think we were going to see him again because, I don't know, I just felt like his death was too... A lot of people died that night, you know?
Yeah,
and
I was surprised to see him, actually. I was.
I didn't have an idea of how we would see him, but I just felt like we'd have to see something about him again. So I didn't expect to see, you know, his nipples fly off his body.
Yeah,
but
Rebecca
that
has
was
a good
disgusting.
video of this. But I just have this picture of him, and it's interesting because we see him without his shirt on and everything, and it's sort of like Frankenstein, like he's got, like, you know, the white parts, so like actually they're like stapled together.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been cool to kind of know how they actually went about this, like if we were like able to be a fly on the wall to know how they actually did this.
Well, I guess it's they take body parts and just use spells to attach them to them.
Yeah, because there was another torso sitting in,
that had been cut up. Yeah.
And they were like, this isn't working, and it was basically because the, you know, whatever, like that emblem or whatever it was that Christina had Ruby plant in his office was preventing it from preventing the spells from working.
I felt like this was a Beric Dondarrion scene. I felt like this was like, you know, like, okay, that's it. You've come back so many times, and you know, this is your final time, or what have you. You can only come back so many times. Like was she saying, or William saying, that even she could only do that so many times? Because I haven't gone back to rewatch it.
No, she said that every time she comes back, William dies.
So like every time she comes back from after being William, it's like he's dying all over again.
Is that what you mean, Tanya?
Yeah, that's what she had said.
Oh, okay. I thought she meant like, because I thought he was already dead. I thought he was,
I think he's like in a coma.
Always okay. So so she's keeping him artificially alive, whereas the other girl did actually die this episode.
Yes. Vanessa in the chat points out we still don't know what happened to the guy who was in the closet.
It was true. Well, whose torso was that on the gurney though, or the
table? Some guy that they kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got at least 2 different guys this go around.
Mm-hmm. Rebecca, did you want to show your little video you have?
Hold on.
Rebecca's got something really horrifying.
Yes. Because that's how I roll. Oh, where are you? Here, you guys go on for a second, and I'll find it, because that's how prepared I am.
What I'll do is, while we're talking about that, I'll just have a quick little. Oops, sorry. I'll just have a quick little we can have a little peek at William. Do you guys think? Do you think we're going to see William anymore after this?
I don't know. It's possible, I guess.
There he is. So what did you guys think of this outfit on him? You guys tell me in the chat. I actually really like this look on him. This, you know, I was complaining at the very first episode, second episode, that I thought like he looked really, everything looked kind of ill-fitting on him, but now everything's starting to sort of settle on him. He's starting to look good. Tanya, I started reading the book, by the way, and the description of him is very different than they show here.
I don't remember his description from the book.
He's supposed to be like Matt Ruff describes him as a ginger, which is like kind of like like a strawberry blonde.
Yeah.
As opposed to this like Targaryen sort of look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Rebecca's got the picture there.
Ugh.
Sorry, guys. And now it's up to Heidi to keep it going.
Okay, I can remove it.
Oh, that is just so gross.
So what did you guys think about in the chat? So William, yes,
Sorry,
I don't know if we're going to see William
sorry.
again because it seems like we've only got the finale, right? And then it's going to be Christina.
Yeah,
And
I don't think we're gonna see William. We're not going to see Chrysilium again.
Chrysilium, yeah.
Chrysilium.
I was.
She loves a redhead.
I was happy to find that 2 of my theories were correct. That Letty put Dell in a coma when she hit her in the head.
Yeah.
And that Christina and William were lovers and he was helping her with magic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you were right. I was convinced that they were brother and sister, but that's obviously not mutually exclusive in this in television land.
Yeah. Yeah, Shatara says, guess we get to get Ruby as the redhead because she said she would have preferred to have been a redhead. I have to say that like her is.
Oh yeah, I think in the book she.
Oh, did
cut
she? Okay.
She cut and color her hair, I think.
Because I didn't find like Dell was a good match for her. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought the actor who played Dell was really great, but I didn't find it like it didn't feel like a proper.
It didn't feel like Ruby.
It didn't feel like Ruby. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think she was a bit too old as well. Like the actor who plays her, she just felt. I think she's like in her 40s.
But I guess it also makes sense that it wasn't just a random. It's they had. This is what they had access to at the time. So, yeah. I mean, at least made a little bit of sense. Like it wasn't, what the magic didn't do. It did, but
it wasn't like Ruby just turned into just a random white woman who doesn't exist.
Right.
Like she turned it, there's a cost to this magic. They need a person in a coma, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the question is, and they're bringing it up in the chat, like, does that mean that they're going to be like hunting for a redhead? I don't actually think so.
No, I think Ruby's just going to have some fun while she's Dell and color her hair.
Well, but she switched off Dell's thing.
Yeah, Dell's done.
Yeah,
Dell's dead.
Dell's dead. Now, how much blood is there?
Right, there may still be some of the potions.
Yeah, there's still might be some potion to go, but
Alicia says, I think Christina will still need to use William's form. She's powerful, yes, but she's still a woman to continue to navigate the way she wants. She will still need a male form. I was just saying, because I think just because there's just one episode left.
Yeah.
And I think we're just moving towards this finale where she's trying to become immortal. Okay, so we're going to move to the Atticus Montrose Uncle Daddy scene and Hippolyta's return. That's Rebecca's. We got some kitties now.
Oh, you haven't heard her yelling this whole time?
Yeah.
So Tanya, let's start with you regarding. We talked a little bit about Hippolyta's return. So what were your sort of thoughts on that whole thing, or maybe we've talked about it?
About Hippolyta's return?
Yeah.
I also found it anticlimactic. I was hoping to see kind of a big return from her, but she showed up during that conversation. Montrose is just dropping all of these huge secrets on Atticus, and her showing up and interrupting it, I think may have been part of the point too. It's like they couldn't finish that conversation. Now they have to explain to her what's wrong with her daughter. So that could have been part of it, to just kind of interrupt it, maybe.
Yeah, I was sort of confused about that because I thought because Tick is technically would be Dee's like half brother then, and so he would
Yeah.
be actually the closest relative. So did he give the blood for the serum?
Well,
Well, no, because
no.
her mother was there.
Yeah,
So.
because she showed up in time.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
you know,
okay,
and
yeah.
that was a little bit that was kind of annoying about, and I know Alicia's in the chat, and Alicia does not like Montrose at all. But what really annoyed me was the fact that they like need the blood of her closest relative, and at the time that in the room they thought, oh, that's Montrose, her dad's brother. And there was a little bit like the way he threw, like, he just like lobbed that information at Tick. It's like, oh, George might be
By the way,
but it was in conjunction with like the fact, like, you need to step up and do something. You need to give your blood. I couldn't tell if it's like, was he just like being, no, was he just being, was he being a coward for like giving the blood? Like, I guess he was also feeling like maybe this was like the last chance that he potentially could have to say something, but it was just like, I'm just gonna throw this at you and run away. But no, so he ended like, so no one had to give blood. But I also wonder if I did the math, would that still make, I bet you statistically Montrose and Tick would still be the same weight or like the same percentage. I have to do the math.
I think the half brother would be.
Oh, no. Yeah. Because like a brother.
If he really is her brother.
If he is.
Yeah, well, that's brother. The thing. Like,
Oh, so, hi, Kai. Is it Kai? Says, I think he was worried that his blood wouldn't work. So maybe he felt forced to tell Atticus.
Yeah.
He had to. Now, it's been hinted at, though, right? It's been hinted that he's not.
Well, they don't know is the problem. Yeah. They don't know. So it's just, they just know that it's a possibility.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to removing the curse.
Yes. Would either of you like to start, or when you guys want to just hear me complain?
I don't have anything to talk about except for I have like just Christina's outfit, which I
talk about her outfit.
Okay, let me talk about it. All right. So, I was saying earlier, I'm not really sure about the color. I thought about it today. I'm thinking, okay, is she wearing red because it's ruby red? Like I was trying to figure out, maybe it's like showing that she is like team Ruby. Definitely feels like that there's a solidarity between these two.
Yes.
And so I thought maybe that, like, I can't really judge based on Ruby's outfit because Ruby's wearing what she was wearing last episode, which, but by the way, I love this dress she's wearing. Everything on her looks so good. And I kind of love the two, like, they're just so, different in terms of their silhouettes, and like you've got the blonde and the, the dark beauty. So I just kind of love that, but I'm not really sure. You guys can tell me what you think in the chat about why Christina is wearing red and then we don't see Letty wearing red, except for we do see her in red later on, right? Why don't I like the muted shades on Ruby? Well, it's funny. Okay, I think this is a lighting thing, because that dress is actually kind of got purple and hot pink, and I think it's got gold and sort of a sage green. And the reason those are the colors, those were just the colors at the time. So as I was mentioning, red was a really popular color, but also were muted colors. So that's like sort of a very 1950s thing. And there's lots of stuff going on, like, even like kind of what Tanya's wearing tonight, that sort of look would have been really, really that kind of print, like a, forest green with like a white print on top, like she's wearing there. See, she looks lovely. Like there she is. So bold prints, like florals, checkers, like tartan, plaids, checks, paisleys, like so many different types of things were in fashion at that time. So she's just wearing, oh, and then they were saying sort of more sort of abstract. So what she's wearing is kind of more abstract. But I think because of the lighting, it looks a little bit more washed out. So maybe not the best thing on her, as opposed to that really beautiful
Like
blue
so many
dress she
different types of
wore
things were
in the first episode, which is one of my favorites. I think it's my MVP for episode 1. We do a wrap up, Rebecca. I think I'll do my MVP per episode.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about Christina. Obviously she is, people were talking about like, I love Christina, but obviously she's completely manipulative and she's using every opportunity to get what she wants in this episode. So what do you two ladies have to say about this?
About
the scene where they're removing the curse scene.
Oh, it was gross. Those maggots. I hate insects so much. It was gross. I feel like everyone took it pretty chill. But then again, I guess they've all seen some craziness at this point, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have much to say about it. About that part anyway.
I know Rebecca was saying sort of that she was would have liked to have seen that sort of evolve more. Like so she's full on like Topsy or Flopsy. She's full on the braids and the hair and everything like that.
There was just something about the transformation I wish that they had paid just a little bit more attention to. And I understand budgets and time, and even like if we had seen something in the cold open where we actually saw some of the
red on her mouth and
like some of the things just like slowly like creeping. Thank you, Alicia. Just something like slowly happening, because again like, the one thing like that they didn't do well this episode, where they've done it well in other episodes, like doing those like hard cuts to like something totally big, they just kind of
move you guys around.
They just kind of like failed, or I wouldn't say failed, it's like it was just more of a swing and a miss. And honestly, and so they didn't remove the curse fully. They did a
they rewound it. Yeah.
So my question is like, well, then are like Topsy and Bopsy going to come back, or is it going to be like you were saying in the book that it's going to be somebody else, or like something else around her that starts haunting her?
I think that for the sake of the show, it would most likely be just Topsy and Bopsy again.
Yeah. I don't think they're actually going to spend time.
Because it's you can't spend time explaining, it's whatever's around her that's going to come alive to curse her. It's easier to just be like, look, Topsy and Bopsy are back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I do want to say, I know I was complaining about this on Tony and Elamar's stream Sunday. That's the little bit that I know about folk magic, that I don't think there's such a thing as like resetting a curse. But someone in the chat gave me a hard time, and it's like, I don't think that they're really following the real rules of like real.
Yeah, in the book, the male version of Christina, because remember it's a guy in the book, Caleb. He's able to actually remove it because was it Lancaster?
Mm-hmm.
Because he did it with spit instead of blood, he was able to remove it in the book. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, even like the little bit that I understand about removing curses, I don't think it's that easy. But yeah, I should not really be talking about, because I know just enough to like think I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't.
Now, the other thing I was going to say is, so Christina obviously, at least at some point, knew that he was alive, right? That
Lancaster was alive?
Lancaster was alive, but she'd already sort of made the deal with him, getting Atticus to come willingly. So she wasn't being like, oh, by the way, I happen to have him here that we can, she could have, if she really did care, she would have just done that and cured her instead of just trying to reset the whole thing. Yes, Jenya. I was just going to read what Alicia was saying earlier, which is so funny. Alicia, I love you. She says, Christina and Ruby are both using each other. They are toxic as hell, and I am here for all of the drama-filled train wreck their continued relationship will be. I ship it. I totally
it's completely
agree.
Toxic. It is completely toxic.
Yeah. So Shatara says, right. Christina could have, I can add your comments, guys. Christina could have removed it, but she has plans. I'm not even having a drink and I'm like forgetting what I'm doing here. Okay. So do we want to move along? Okay. Scene 4, we have Ruby, Christina in the basement. Do you want to talk a little bit? I don't have anything about that, Rebecca. Oh, she's left the building for a moment.
Oh, in the basement. Oh, when she's like, are you using me to get to Atticus?
Yes. And then also, I think she's sitting there next to Dell.
Yeah. Oh, and then she didn't seem shocked at all to find out that Ruby put her in a coma. I feel like she thinks really low. Not Ruby. I'm sorry, Letty. I feel like she thinks really low of Letty, and I wish that I know that they have their issues, but I wish she'd kind of give her a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I feel like that too. And what's her? She seems to really have like a distaste for Atticus. Like, what's her issue with him?
Well, I get the distaste with Atticus because he's like this hobosexual who's just, he has no job, he has nowhere to live. He's just living with her sister, living off of her, and he got her pregnant, and they're not married, and it's 1954, 1955. And on top of that, ever since he's come back into their lives, it's been nothing but death and literal monsters. So I can see being like, look, you have this jobless guy living in your house. You say he contributes by helping around the house, but he's the only man on the South Side without a job. Now she's pregnant, and like, what the hell? And he's bringing literal monsters into our life. Like, that's people true. Around us are dying. So it's like, I get it. I get why she's like, please get Atticus out of here. Like this is all horrible.
Yeah. Linda says, but Ruby didn't seem angry being used, though. Well, I think it's mutual. It's like codependency, right? They're like codependent.
Yeah.
Jenya says it was a blow goth. So what's a blow? Are you referring to Rebecca blowing her nose? What did you mean by blow goth? Where did that come from? That was Jenya said that. So I don't really have anything to say in that scene because there's not a lot of costumes in this episode. It's just sort of like, except for in the Tulsa scene coming up. All right, so then we have the observatory. Rebecca, when you come back, we can get to that. See, that's the dark side of Ruby, in my opinion. She sees herself as better than everyone. Yeah, I think so. If you listen
absolutely,
to some of the
she's regularly saying that the Negro race would be better if they were more like me, essentially. Like, if you just work hard and do this. And even though she's been shown that, like, that's not necessarily the case, she still has these ideas of respectability that she holds on to. And so, of course, Letty now being pregnant is like, it's really disturbing for her, despite the fact that she picks up guys in bars.
Yeah. And she probably doesn't have protected sex with William.
Right. But she
got pregnant by Crystal William.
Oh, God. Yeah. Can she get pregnant?
God, I hope not.
Yeah, Percy, we'll get to that. I know, I totally agree with that.
Ruby has Crystal William's baby.
And what would the baby look like?
A blonde Topsy and Bopsy.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to say anything, Rebecca, about Ruby and Christina in the basement?
I don't think anything more than what we were talking about. or what you guys have already talked about.
Sure. Okay, so the next scene is we get to the observatory in record speed. I don't know if it was record speed, but
She said it takes 6 hours to get there.
yeah. So it took 6. So we sort of like get into the, what do they call that? Like, was it Varys who gets into his teleportation device?
Oh yeah, Varys and
travel.
Littlefinger.
Littlefinger. Yeah. Okay.
Although, so there was one thing that got cleared up on Twitter by Misha Green, and I don't know if we talked about it. I know like other people were talking about it. I think I thought that the observatory when she initially in Kansas, I know that was a big problem for me. It's like, how did Tick get from St. Louis to like the middle of Kansas? That's a very long drive, but it turns out that was Misha Green apparently didn't notice the atlas, like the atlas map, like Dee's atlas said Kansas, but that the observatory was always in Kentucky, and St. Louis is much closer to Kentucky than it is, or at least that.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's a continuity error then, I think, but it would have been in the script.
Well,
it should have been in the script.
It should have been in the script, yes. Or that was like something where art department and I think like Matt Murdock from the Shoggoth Surprise podcast, like he looked up the coordinates from that episode and he said that the coordinates were in Kansas. So
well, that's interesting because the coordinates would have probably been done in post-production though. Like,
yes,
because I know John was looking up the coordinates and I didn't look them up, and he was talking about how, like, I think at one point Hippolyta, where she was supposed to be, was this one particular area.
Percy saying it seems like observatories in general are portal location. Just a thought. Well, I mean,
I think she's at Winthrop's Observatory in particular. The owner, the guy who owned or I can't say that word.
The orrery.
Orrery.
Wait,
you know what I mean? The planet spinny thing.
That would be really fun.
Yeah, I mean
the planet spinny thing. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
I just had an idea. If the three of us ever start a show, we should call it Three Girls in Glasses.
But anyway, like Misha Green said that it was a mistake that she didn't catch, which it happens. There are also people that are supposed to catch all the like little things like that.
That's not really, that's not entirely her job. That's what I was saying. I would have been like a continuity thing or script advisor thing.
Yeah.
But it's no worse than a coffee cup. Or a bottle of water.
Yeah.
I was going to say in the book, when she goes to the observatory, she only goes once because obviously this other stuff doesn't happen in the book, but she does go to the observatory in the book under totally different circumstances. And she puts in coordinates from the orrery and she ends up on this like weird planet, and there's some kind of like monster. It's like she's like on a beach and there's like some kind of monster, and she runs into another Black woman who's there and who's been there apparently now for years and years because they were Winthrop's house staff, and he had put them there as a punishment but got killed before he could go back to retrieve them. And I forgot why he put them there, what he was punishing them for. But he had put them there because he was angry at them and was killed before he could come back for them. And they eventually died off there, except for the one that she left behind, the one that was still living. And she told Hippolyta to leave. And Hippolyta left with a gift from her, but the gift was a murder gift. And luckily it wasn't Hippolyta who opened it, somebody else did and got murdered, and it saved Hippolyta. So that's what happened in the book with the observatory.
Oh my gosh, a murder gift. That's not very nice. That's worse than like getting like sparkles in the mail. You get
a glitter bomb.
A glitter bomb. Yeah, that's worse than a murder gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glitter bombs are no joke. Like
No, they're awful,
I have
yeah.
glitter in my apartment from like 2 years ago Halloween.
Jeez.
So
Yeah, it
I've
gets
never
into
been glitter
everything.
bombed.
yeah,
It gets into everywhere and everything.
everything.
But I do love glitter, though.
I do too.
Anything shimmery, I adore. Okay, so next. Okay, so this is the big scene, everyone. All right, so
Yeah.
we're moving to the portal to 1921, Montrose and Father.
Yes.
Who wants to go first?
Not me.
I'll go.
Shatara says glitter bomb is a murder gift. Oh my god, Shatara. Oh, you guys crack me up every time.
I guess I'll start. And really just kind of like, once that portal gets plugged in, I don't know if we really want to go into. I'm fine with like Hippolyta explaining like I've traveled all these planets. I was on planet 504. Oh, by the way, I'm a motherboard now. I'm fine with that.
Do you watch Star Trek Discovery?
No.
Okay. Because it reminded me of Star Trek Discovery because they find this way to travel using this like alien, and eventually they can't use that alien life form thing anymore. And so somebody else has to do it. And he essentially becomes like a motherboard to like transport them to go faster than hyperspeed or whatever they call it in Star Trek. I forgot. So that's actually what I thought of when I saw it, because he ends up with this implant in his forearm that they plug into to travel faster. And so when I saw that my first thought was Star Trek Discovery.
Well, I was wondering if that might have been like a Lovecraft thing, having a human motherboard. When also Letty doesn't know what a motherboard is because they don't have computers at that point.
Right, but Hippolyta has no time to explain all of this to
She's
the
like,
machines.
okay, you're just gonna have to go with what I'm saying here.
Right. It's like you've just showed me your forearms and there's machines in them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna go with what you said.
Which actually was surprising to me because I thought that she would only have those in the other kind of realm. I didn't think she would have them, back in 1950. So
I didn't either.
I was surprised to see that. What about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, I was surprised too.
I guess at some point, like, no, I'm not surprised by anything that I'm seeing anymore. And it's like, okay, those are there. That's fine. And again, like, it would have been, and as much as I did love the Hippolyta episode, like I said, like, had they like done one itty bitty thing in the last episode, I mean, I know that they don't want to like show their cards, but even just something like Hippolyta being in like a different multiverse than where we last saw her, or just like seeing her like getting prepared to leave, because last time we saw her she was just floating in space, and it's like, and she did say like, yes, I need to get back to my daughter. I don't know, it was a weird pacing issue, but anyway, I had no problem with like her, like the way she explained it away, and like they're all like, okay, sure.
I mean, for them at this point, with the shit they've seen in just this short amount of time, fuck it, anything is possible.
Yeah. Well, and also
Anything.
like it also helps that Tick had also gone through the portal.
Right, so, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, I would accept pretty much anything.
Yeah. Maybe in the car, the 6-hour drive in the car, they talked.
That's true. They did also have a 6-hour drive to talk about it.
That's true.
Yeah. So there's, I actually, for this show, I haven't had too much problem suspending some of my disbelief. It's just for me, I feel some of it. And, I turn to Jack and be like, what do you think, my husband? And he'd be like, it just feels a bit rushed. Like, I feel like I wish they had, maybe had more time. Like maybe if they'd had 12 episodes to do this. And I feel like, and I'm noticing this more and more with series. They used, years ago, a series would be 24 episodes, 30 episodes. Right. Nowadays, it's like 10 or less. And it's like, I think Game of Thrones, we can blame them for that. Like, I just watched a series. I just watched all of Brave New World, and it was only 9 episodes. And again, I was like, whoa, this is like really rushed. Like, brr, 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 brr. So I don't know if it's budgets from HBO. Well, actually, that's a different network.
Peabody or something, right? Or Peacock.
Peacock, yes.
Peacock. Yeah, I think a little bit of it is, Because even like The Sopranos, like they had 13 episodes. Because that seemed to be like the number for a while, like with this like kind of like prestige stuff.
Yeah.
Was 13. And their budgets are a little bit bigger. Like they couldn't afford to do like a whole like 22 episode season. I don't know if I could handle a 22 episode season.
No.
Oh no, I probably
I
couldn't either.
Lovecraft Country, but
No.
There are
I could handle 12.
that still do like Supernatural,
12 would
for
be
instance.
perfect.
I think Supernatural does long seasons. Like they do 18, I think, or you know.
And what's that on? Is that on a network?
It's CW.
Yeah, I don't know why like they've structured it differently. Like we can blame the Brits is really like what it boils down to.
Yeah, and I mean like so like and then again I think The Boys, like it just everything seems to be less than 10 episodes. So I feel to me, and I don't know how long the episodes are, maybe are they 40 minutes? Are they an hour?
They're
about an hour.
Yeah, they're about an hour.
Very fast. They like that hour goes by really quickly for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so we're able to suspend some of our disbelief on some of the things.
Yeah. But so the beginning, like, and when it really honed in on like this is kind of like Montrose's episode was going into that portal. And what was really great about that scene, what was really great about that scene, we start getting like these like this like, you know, voiceover kind of montage flashback, and it's all stuff that we're eventually going to see, but like Montrose's PTSD. Oh my god, PTSD. This is like what
it's okay. I can't say Aurori.
I'm like looking at one trying to read like another screen. This cat's like digging his claws into my legs. But when you see like Montrose's PTSD start kicking in, and like it was a really well done, and it's not usually like a favorite device of mine to do like those little internal flashback, you know, but it was really well done. And like, and even like the way the pacing of the scene slowed down because you had Tick and Letty jumping through and everything just kind of like froze while the camera slowly moved around Montrose while like you're just getting these demons. And initially like they're overlapped enough where it's a combo of the gunshots and then like what we find out like to be like the conflict with his father that he sees, and then ultimately like who we're going to be, you know, who Thomas is. I went back on my second watch and I watched it with subtitles, and it is a mix of all those things, and where, you know, like he obviously like, how can living through those riots not traumatize somebody? But then
and then to do it again.
Yeah.
Like it's like you've now lived through something so horrific that most of us won't experience that in our lives, you know?
Yeah.
And then on top of it, now he has to willingly walk into it again. Just like the level after level of trauma, because it's like he has to and you know, obviously he's been drinking this away. I tried to drink it away.
What
like,
is that there is it moonshine? What is that?
We call it road rash.
Road rash.
Yeah.
But you know, he has to not only this actually made me really angry at Atticus and made me really dislike Atticus.
Yeah.
Because despite what's going on with their relationship and despite having to live with Montrose's abuse, in this moment, Montrose is not only reliving the Tulsa massacre, which is, again, beyond anything most of us will ever experience.
Yeah.
He's reliving his childhood abuse. He's reliving having to hide who he is and being abused for that. He's reliving his best friend, boyfriend, being murdered in front of him. I mean, having anyone murdered in front of you is horrific, but you know, he's covered in his blood and gore, and he has to relive all of this while also living through losing his brother, finding out monsters are real, finding out that his son is bound to die, you know, like there's just so many things, so many horrible and tragic things happening inside Montrose's head, and Tick just cusses him out, and I just wanted to punch Tick in the mouth.
Yeah,
like I wanted to go find Jonathan Majors and just like ride him down with a horse.
it's like
Yeah.
we had this. I lived in LA for a while, and we had this joke, like, you know, it was hard seeing Lawrence Fishburne in person because we all watched What's Love Got to Do with
Yeah,
It.
oh my gosh,
And it's
yes.
like we would see, like,
It took a long time to get past that.
yeah, and I would, he was like one of those weird, like, I couldn't believe how often I saw Lawrence Fishburne, and like for a while it was like, what
Oh, damn you, Lawrence. It's like, oh
Yeah,
it wasn't really him.
so poor Tick, or poor Jonathan Majors. But yes, no, and then also, and like we do know a lot of this, and it was like having like that story of Thomas just really, like, I mean, we'll get to that.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, because when he says that he couldn't only not remember Thomas and not say his name, he had to have never existed.
Right.
Because it would have gave away what he's been trying to hide for all of these decades.
Yeah. And throughout the episode, you know,
what have I done? Sorry.
And,
Sorry,
you know,
guys.
obviously, you know,
I'm touching buttons.
you know, obviously, like, Montrose knows like the demons that he's carrying around, but that confrontation of those demons, it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to like for it to be hard to talk about, but now you're asking me to do it again.
Yeah, or like that at one point, like once they're in and they're on the street after they've done their wardrobe change, and Montrose freezes, and Letty's like, "You okay?" And it's like, what do you think?
No, bitch, I'm not okay. Nothing about this is okay. I'm about to watch my whole family die again.
Yeah, this is fucked up.
I know what's going to happen, and I can't do anything about it. I have to just sit here and relive the most horrific trauma ever again. I have to do it again.
I think Atticus, like, he's got his own, his own issues. Like, he's,
of course.
he's
absolutely.
He's a war veteran.
Absolutely.
He's like probably got his own PTSD. I don't like. We only.
I just felt like he could extend Montrose just a little bit of grace in that moment.
Well,
but he's angry.
Yeah,
I think that showed him. I think it's almost like really weird. Like, even though he knew, until he saw it, it's like it didn't register or something. It'd be like listening to maybe your grandparents tell you something about being in World War II, and you'd be like, yeah. But unless you maybe actually saw
and I think that goes to Tick's selfishness. You know, when remember when Letty said to him a few episodes ago that, this isn't only happening to you. So I think
he's
it goes
full of anger, though. He's very full of
yes,
anger.
he's very angry, and he's angry. I think he's selfish, and he's also dealing with his own trauma.
Yeah. And admittedly, like, a lot of his trauma came at the hands of
Montrose.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so
and it's that cycle of abuse. Like, he was abused by his father, and then there's that cycle of abuse. And then in turn, he, abuses his own son.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I wonder, like, what kind of scenes we're going to get. And not to jump too far ahead, I don't know if this is you guys watched the trailer, right?
For next week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, do we know? I don't know.
No, I don't think we know. We ever find out exactly how he died. We just know that he died.
Yeah.
Probably in the streets.
Yeah, probably just shot.
I don't know. Did they ever say that their dad died in Tulsa?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, then I would assume just out in the streets, where Dora's family was the one that died in the house.
Oh, Alicia just commented. Yeah, the paternity isn't a plot point in the book. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I think we are to assume that George is his real father.
Yeah, I would assume, like, and even even without like, you know, the question of the possibility, you know, and that's a really great scene, like later, or, you know, actually like seeing that relationship between Dora and the brothers, and realizing, like, you know, even though like it was clear at the time, like, you know, George probably was the one that she wanted, but, you know, she, you know,
Yeah.
chose Montrose because like Montrose needed protection. And it's just
Yeah.
too bad that she couldn't figure out, they couldn't figure out how to like break that cycle. But it's also like, you know, he was a gay man living in like the 20s and the 30s. You were already on my lap. You want back? Sorry. My child needs attention.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
We love the kitty cats.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else we want to talk about before like we get into the? Well, we were talking a little bit about the portal. I was just going to talk about the clothes. If you're,
Yeah,
if
talk
you guys,
about the clothes.
Okay, yay! It's one of the highlights. Like it's like one of the
Yes.
less sad aspects of the episode. Oh, here I've got a few pictures of Montrose's dad, so that I can share for everybody to see. I can share the screen. There. All right, so there he is. I kind of dig his mustache actually.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
looking at that because it's a little bit of a like one of those, you know,
Handlebar.
twirly whirly kind of.
Yeah.
And I thought the actor did a great job. So I was going to talk about like, so we're in the 20s versus the 50s, right? So one of the things that was really, really big are these pinstripe shirts with a contrasting collar and cuffs. And I was reading all about shirts, and sort of like in America, Brooks Brothers sort of were, you know, they were one of the companies that were really responsible for making the American shirt. And so before this point, like everyone wore like a really, really hard collar, you know, those really stiffened starch collars and contrasting cuffs. And then they did start to do, I couldn't figure out what time period it is. It looked like it was kind of like late 20s. So this might be a little bit later, but they would have had detachable collars and cuffs at that point. And the reason being, and this is really disgusting, I don't know if you guys know this, they didn't wash their shirts. They would normally wear like an undershirt, and then they would wear a shirt, and then they would wash the collars and cuffs like frequently. But the shirts themselves, they would not wash them frequently. So they might get all grimy and dirty. And the idea was that normally it would just be under your vest or your jacket. So it went, and doing laundry. There's actually this really great show. I don't know if anybody in the chat watches it. It's called like Victorian House, I think. And there's this one episode. There's this lady. She's like I call her the bird lady. Or maybe Jack calls her the bird lady. She's like a historian, and she does an entire episode where she's showing how they would have done laundry. And it's just god awful. Like it makes you just so happy to have modern machinery. So yeah, so doing laundry would have been a big pain in the ass. So, but you could wash the collars and the cuffs really easily and undershirts. So that's what is there. And I think I've got another picture here. Here's a good one here, actually. Oh, Jalissa, I'll get rid of your comment so you guys can see it. So there, and then there's of course young George there, and he's wearing one of those floppy hats, which I call it like a, you know, poor boy or a newsy type hat. So they would have like a little peak on them, and it would usually have a button in the center, and it was sort of a soft hat. So one of the things that's really good about this show is they have people wearing hats, which is really awesome because men would have worn hats, boys would have worn hats. The only thing is I can't really tell what's going on here, but the boys would have normally worn knickers or knickerbockers with long socks. So I can't quite tell if he is wearing
I think that's
those.
what he was wearing.
Is he wearing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the men normally some would more often probably wear braces or suspenders, not a belt, and button suspenders. So they would have the buttons on the inside of the pants, and it would be a button fly, not a zip fly. They didn't have zips quite then yet. Yeah, but my dad talks all the time about wearing knickers, that he wouldn't have worn pants. So let me see. Now, when we get into, okay, so this is one of my things. There's Montrose there in his other outfit. One of my things that I was going to talk about. Okay, so there's this scene where they are, he's like, we're going to have to fit in. Like, we're going to have to like try to fit in, in order for people to not think, who are these people from the future? So he goes to open this door, and I'm thinking, oh, great, it's going to be a closet. And he's going to open the door, and then there's going to be a bunch of clothes in there. But no, it's not. It's the hallway, and the next thing, boom, we're in the street, and they're walking down the street with their outfits. So, of course, my thing is, what? Like, why didn't they show where they got the clothes from? At least,
I
like,
thought
show
there
them
was one of those racks because they're at a hotel.
Yeah.
I thought they had like a laundry rack.
Yeah, there
I didn't-
was when they get to the hotel, like, so the portal goes to a hotel.
Yep.
And at some point they open the door and the girls are talking about the prom getting canceled, and like
Yes.
Letty's dress is right there.
Oh, it is. Okay. See, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
But also, you know, again, like, but everything just happens to fit them, you know, so it's just like, you know, I was mentioning before when, whenever you're trying to sort of explain a story and you're just like, okay, yes, you know, you find the clothing, and I'm not saying I wanted it to be sort of like a parody where they're like, you know, pulling the rack in and then, okay, I'll trying to dress, like, just give me a little bit of that. But also, how is it that they found clothes that just happen to fit them? I mean, I always find that sort of comical when you see movies where someone goes into a backyard and they grab a bunch of stuff off a clothesline and then they, you know, put the clothes on. So anyway, I just was like,
And play Pretty Woman.
and play, yeah, exactly. So anyway, so let's just look at what they're wearing. I'll have to go back. This is a problem because, guys, I never get to watch the show twice. I only watch it the one time. So there we have Montrose looking very dapper. Actually, I think this is the nicest I've ever seen him looking.
I love Michael K. Williams so much.
Yeah, I mean, there was like the drag show.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
that wasn't like a full 3-piece suit.
He's always usually just wearing those knit polo shirts though, right? Like he's and then here's these, by the way, I got all of these from, there's a photographer that works on the show, and I got all of these pictures from their thing. And one of the things I was going to show you too is that men oftentimes they usually almost always wore boots, even if they're wearing a suit. So this is a really great shot of Atticus's boots. They would have been his own boots, but I'm just saying that for even in like when you're wearing a suit, you would typically wear boots as well, lace-up boots. So what else I have here to show you? Oh, and yeah, and I got this picture from Dana's Instagram account, but it's actually, I think, again, this was done by the photographer. Oh no, I was telling Rebecca, I shared this picture, and Dana Pink, I added her and she liked my post. So that was really nice.
That was awesome.
He's drinking a cup of coffee.
We definitely need to address the running shoes. The chat's all about.
Oh yeah, that Letty had on.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then I'll just finish off with Atticus here. So here's Atticus. So it's a 3-piece suit. So, you know, they would have worn, oftentimes it could have been a contract. Like, this is sort of really kind of cool because there's all kinds of things that they would have done. So you'd have like the sack suit, which is just basically like a 3-piece suit, which started coming into fashion. And again, there's all kinds of fabrics they used. Brooks Brothers were one of the first companies to sort of do this more American style suit. But they could have worn like a contrasting vest. Like I was looking at some historical pictures where they would have maybe worn like a different colored jacket with the vest and the pants. Again, he's wearing like a patterned shirt with a contrasting collar and cuffs, which, you know, this is like, you know, you think about gangsters and stuff like this. This is sort of the type of thing you tend to think about here. So he's wearing the striped shirt. The other thing was interesting that I was reading is that shirts would have only have come in one size. They didn't come in different sizes at this time. Oh. So what they like, oftentimes, you know, you see a banker with like the arm cuffs on, or you see like a dealer wearing like those armbands, like the elastic garters. That was because the shirts would have been just like one size. So in order to shorten them or lengthen them, they would have done that. They would have put the garters on, and then they would have had really, really long tails. So that would just, because a shirt was actually really considered more like underwear as opposed to what we think of it as now. Oh. And so it just would have been like, you know, like a long thing, and then you could take the collar off, and then often you could just wear it to bed kind of thing, like a bed shirt. And the cuffs. So then let's get to Letty. Oh, here's another one here. Actually, I'll show you guys this one. So there's a color one of Montrose. And you can't see it here, but you can see how high up they do have pockets, which I believe they did have on men. A lot of the pants that I saw, like the button fly pants that I've seen, vintage pants, they wouldn't have had pockets. They would have just been regular. And so you can see he's wearing the suspenders there. He's holding his, where did he get this bottle of liquor again?
He broke a truck window.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's get to Letty now. Where is she here? So we got her here. That's starting off. So here she is. So as Rebecca was saying, they're walking down the street. We're immediately into that scene where they're walking down the street and she's wearing running shoes, gum shoes, right? Which, I mean, later on in the episode, she kind of really needs them. But I guess what happens is they arrive there. She didn't find any shoes. So maybe on that rack, there were no shoes. It looks to me like the guys were just wearing their boots from before as well. I've got this other picture, actually, a full picture of the two of them, three of them. This is actually the actors just in front of the Martin Luther King house. So when they were shooting it, they got this picture done. So this was just from social media. So this particular type of dress she's wearing is called a handkerchief dress. And why it's called that is basically you can take just a giant square and you can take two of them actually. Like, so if you have a giant handkerchief and then you take another one, you can just sort of put them on different angles and then you cut a hole in the center and then you stitch it around and then it basically just hangs in these points, and that's how you get that sort of basic shape. And then the bodice is just sort of soft. It's a drop waist, which is very 1920s. The thing that cracked me up though is she added the pearls, which, you know, everyone sort of says thinks about a flapper. Oh, a flapper wears long pearls. I'll just like add some long pearls. So I just sort of thought that was funny. She's like, okay, I'll just try to make myself look like I fit in. And I would have loved to have seen her wear them at a cloche hat or something, because I was looking at some of the pictures in Tulsa and you'd see the women wearing those really nice cloche hats. So that would have been kind of fun if they had done that. And then here's actually a picture. So there's some of the special effects, which I think look pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the special effect, like the fire stuff, was fine. Like I didn't need anything to like look super realistic. You know, I'm fine having like that kind of like cartoony comic booky feel, because you know it's a show about monsters and witches and sorcerers. Like,
yeah, and there's a picture. This is a really great one though. I was gonna say, so regarding the running, so there's this one scene where she is kind of running for her life, right? She's wearing her running shoes, and we know she can run really fast because we've seen her do it really well before. So the running shoes came in handy there. Some of the criticism is, why was she walking like in slow-mo at the end there with the book while poor Hippolyta was trying to keep the gate open? You know, it's like, come on, girl. What are you doing?
I was screaming at the TV. I was. Yeah, but I mean, she didn't know that Hippolyta was foaming at the mouth.
Well, yeah, and she just watched a family of people die, and she's like walking.
Right, like she held hands with grandma while she was burned alive.
We're jumping ahead, guys.
Sorry.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, we gotta get her like into the house first.
Okay, we'll go back.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
No, you're good. Keep us on track.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So where are we here?
Yeah, so we're kind of more like once we're at Letty in the house. So Letty gets back after her and Tick separate. I guess that we kind of skipped over them separating, but that's fine. I didn't have anything specific to say about that. But so Letty's at the house, or at least going back towards the house when like the mayhem starts after she hotwires that car for Tick. And Letitia fucking Lewis, man, like she can do anything she wants, can't she? She can hotwire.
I asked Jack about that. I'm like, Jack, is that how you hotwire a car? He goes, oh, I don't know. They always do stuff like that in the movies.
Well,
depends on the car.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the car. I mean, yeah, that's how I've seen it done in movies. Like, so sure, why not? And so once we're kind of, at the house, after she runs in, she gets accosted by the, by the rioters, by the murderers. I really like, so we're basically we're going back and forth at this point. We have Montrose at the house, or sorry, Montrose and Atticus at the park, and we have Letty at the house. And I thought that they did a really good job intercutting like these two scenes. And obviously that's not an unusual thing for them to be doing, but it was really, they did a really good job like intercutting those two scenes, matching the scenes, which is, from a writing, more of a writing point of view, but the pacing helped get those themes across, like while we're, Letty is in this house like full of a family that she knows every single person here is going to die. She cannot do a single thing about it. Where Montrose and Tick are at the park, and when they're thinking like, oh, he's running off toward George, when he's actually running off to warn his first love, Thomas. Because Thomas, as much as, he had a horrible father, as much as he was traumatized by the events of Tulsa, like the first, like probably like the epicenter of Montrose, the person he is today, is the loss of Thomas. Mm-hmm. And that was that event in and of itself. I mean, obviously combined with everything else, like losing Thomas was really like the point that Montrose became the man that he became.
Right. He said he had to cut away all the parts of himself that were soft.
Right. And it wasn't, and obviously like Tick was saying, like, George and Montrose talked all the time about what happened in Tulsa. So the riot in and of itself, and having like going back and forth between like these two scenes where, Letty's pretending like she's going to help this family when she can't. Like, and just like the heartbreak that, her knowing like, I can't do anything to help them. I'm here for one thing, but knowing that they're all going to die.
When I can't remember the mother's name, but her sister was talking about how she's going to apologize to her when she gets back.
Yeah.
And, like all those little things, it's like.
Yeah. It was, yeah. I don't remember when I started crying the first time. I mean, Montrose, Michael Kenneth Williams was, I don't know how many times like we can say it. I think he's been wonderful all season. This in particular, like, was just super painful. And like earlier when we were talking about, Tick needing, like, not having that sympathy for Montrose, like, I know I was 40 when I found out how awful my grandfather was to my father. Like, really, like, I always knew my grandfather was a dick. He passed away before I was born. I always knew he was a dick. I didn't really know until I was 40, like, how awful and abusive he was to my father. And it was one of those things that's like, oh my God, there's so much more makes sense. I wonder, like, I know that has a lot to do with like my very visceral emotional reaction. Not that my father had anything like what Montrose went through, but like that realization, and even like finally like seeing that scene where Tick like actually realizes like, oh, this is what happened, after all these years, and even like that moment and that chance, like, I'm sure even like just seeing Thomas again, and even like the idea of like trying to save Thomas was so overwhelming.
I don't know if anybody watches Westworld, but if you do, that would be his cornerstone. That would be like everything else in his life is sort of like that's sort of the center of everything for him.
Yeah.
And again, like I think because Tick not only hears the story from his dad, but also gets to witness it, makes it all the more impactful.
Yeah.
Tanya, what are your thoughts on that scene? What did you guys think about like him about when he discovers that he's the man that?
Oh,
What did you guys think about that part?
So I have a confession. I really hate time travel. Like,
that's awesome, Tanya. Because of the rules of time travel, because of these stupid rules with paradoxes and such.
just all of it. I feel like it just raises more. Like, I like that Hippolyta said it was a multiverse machine, not a time machine.
right.
But the idea of like going back and changing things that are current, I won't exist anymore. Like, I actually really, really hate. Like, Nikki jokes about it with me all the time because I hate time travel so much, and this is my least favorite thing in all of fantasy is time travel,
And
for so many reasons.
I have a problem with it too, because it's also like as soon as they, they get there and that realization, it's like, oh, so, but at some point, like you went in and you changed time.
Yeah.
Like at some point, like it's this kind of like infinity circle.
Right. And it raises too many questions that can't be answered, and like pulls me out of my suspension of disbelief. Like it completely pulls me out of it. So I just hate time travel. But I enjoyed, don't get me wrong, I love the episode, but like I have to go in with the admission that like
time travel as a concept, I agree, it can be like very, very dumb. And I mean, did anybody else like, it just immediately like I was like, oh my god, this is like the Harry Potter Patronus scene.
It was, yes, I thought of that immediately. Like I was like, oh shit, like it's gonna be, I thought it was gonna be Montrose that went in with the baseball bat to finally save Thomas. That's what I thought was gonna happen. I was like, Montrose was his own, Harry Potter's dad or whatever. But I wish they had kept it multiverse. I just that was my problem with like Endgame, which is Avengers Endgame, which is like a movie I really enjoyed, but the time travel aspect just I become Lady Catelyn raking my face with my nails when it's time travel.
I guess like I was already blubbering, crying at this point.
I'm already like getting a tension headache just like talking about this. I'm starting to feel the tension in the back of my neck. Like it starts there and then like wraps around my forehead. And I'm just like, fuck, man, this episode is too much.
Yeah. But of course, like, when Montrose says Jackie Robinson, I was like, oh my God.
Opening scene.
It's Tick. And I was like, I know it's Tick. And then just all like, and when he's like, I got you, kid, because I'm pretty sure I did not rewatch the cold. So this is from the cold open.
Yes, I believe he said afterwards, he said, I got you, kid.
I got you, kid.
Because I remember being like, I cannot believe this show just starts with Jackie Robinson beating a Cthulhu to death with a baseball bat and just being like, I got you, kid.
Yeah.
And that baseball bat actually is used like by Letty as well.
Yes.
With smashing the car.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of a theme throughout the show.
Well, I mean, baseball was America's national pastime. But yeah, so just, like that was, I understand your issues with time travel. I have the same issues with time travel, but what I did like, I love, like, the turnaround, the callback. Do you think that's Tick? Why am I forgetting?
No, that's what's her name from Korea?
Gia. Yeah, she's dressed in that red outfit with the gold bikini.
Yes. But it looks like blood, but
it does look like blood, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
I think she was just like red though.
Isn't that a
she's supposed to be
that's a Lovecraft character?
Yes. No, it's not Lovecraft. It's another
Barsoon.
No, it's like
Princess of Mars. Edgar Rice Burroughs.
He's a pulp novelist. Oh, where's
Isaac Asimov?
No, like the
John Carter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Princess of Mars, I thought.
To be like, she's from like one of the John Carter books.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's not Edgar Rice Burroughs, that's Tarzan. It's the pulps.
Yeah. Because he was reading one of those books. So but that was like a nice callback. And I do want to, and if we want to go back to like the house, like that scene in the house, like,
yeah,
there's so much. There are so many good, for as much as I bitched at the beginning of the things I didn't like, there's so many things that happened in this episode that I really did like. And I think out of like all like the spoken word set pieces that they've done this season, like so when they're in the house and like the house is burning and she and Grandma Hannah, or Nana Hattie as she's called, like hands over the book of names, and her little speech to Letty is beyond moving, knowing that she's gonna die, but she's saving her great-grandson.
Great-great-grandson. Her faith turned flesh.
Yes, her faith.
This scene was like, so all right, I am particularly close to both of my grandmothers, and I was also very close to my great-grandmother. She lived until my 20s. And so like watching grandma burn alive was actually too much for me.
Yeah.
That was the moment that I was like, okay, this is too much. Like,
yeah, and I kept thinking, like, is that even the way she would have died?
Well, I imagine she would have passed out from smoke inhalation before she burned.
So that's like that. Just like it was so horrible.
But they want us to see her like praying and
went through a portal.
Yeah, right.
And there's a multiverse machine. So
right. But this scene in particular, I think this scene is when I started tweeting about my tension headache, because at this point it got so bad, and I realized it was because like I just can't watch grandma just burn alive while praying. Like it was too much.
But I loved, and it was such a smooth transition going from when they start reciting the Lord's Prayer. And again, as someone who's never grown up in a Christian tradition, they basically said like the first two lines of the Lord's Prayer that I actually know. And like the way it blended into the poem Catch the
Where
Fire.
Is Your Fire? Yes.
Yeah. And it was like, it was beautiful. The music was beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think out of all like these like spoken word moments that they've been using, and I'm saying spoken word, not that it's like spoken word poetry.
Some of them have been poems, some have been speeches.
Exactly. Like, but from all those moments, I think this and it has to be between this and the James Baldwin one, which I think was the first episode. It's where there have been other times that some of their choices with like the spoken word pieces, some of like the more modern music, like I appreciate the fact, to use a baseball term, that they're taking a lot of big chances in this show, and they're going to be lots of swings and misses, and and even at the beginning of the episode, Hippolyta's return was a bit of a miss for me. Dee's curse reset, I thought was a big miss. But when you get these moments, and then later when Montrose is saying the names of the people who did not survive, during the riots, like just, everything. It like all these moments towards the end of this episode, like totally made me forget for a bit about, the things that didn't go right in the episode.
I think my favorite spoken word moment was in Hippolyta's.
Oh, the Sun Ra one?
Yes.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. I've had more of issues with some of the modern music choices, but
I think that some of the choices have been a little bit too literal.
yeah, either too literal or it's just, they just do too much to like take me out of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had issues on both levels, but there was no
any modern music in this episode.
There was no modern music. Like there were a couple.
There was that the opera at the end.
Well, the opera was written by the composer, so that's not
It wasn't like a radio.
No. Like that was written for this. And when we get there was a really great article in the LA Times. So yeah, it was written by Laura Cartman, who's one of the composers of the show, and it was performed by soprano Jenny Brugger, who is a soprano, modern day. And I know John had talked a little bit about this before, but all the music has been recorded remotely. Like, I think it was like,
yes, they did that entire opera remotely and just had to layer it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
I saw that.
A lot of the music period remotely, with over 50 musicians like working in their homes and recording in their homes, and just a lot of mixing work. Oh, I can't even imagine. So
those poor engineers.
I mean, music mixing and mastering that is a job, and and I'm sure you get one layer. Obviously John can talk about this better, but you get one side, like you get it when it's initially composed, and then even after it's composed, and like once it's like mixed into the film, like then you do like a secondary mix where you might go in and futz around with the master mix. So it's a lot of work, and to have like 50 individuals like send in like individual audio tracks instead of like recording in a room together like they normally would. It's impressive.
So did you want are you guys have anything else to add about Letty's in the house?
I appreciated how suspicious the grandmother was of Letty immediately.
And the shoes.
Because her shoes.
Yeah, and her shoes.
I was going to say, the other thing I wanted to add is that so we saw Dora, and we saw, which is Atticus's mom, and the sister. They're sort of in 1920s, but the grandmother, which I kind of liked, her clothing's a little bit older. She's even wearing sort of long fingerless gloves, like crochet lace fingerless gloves, and her outfit's a bit more like Edwardian. I'd say late 1910s. This is supposed to be like 1921, so I'd say more like Titanic era type thing. Like she's not wearing doesn't look like she's wearing a corset, but she's wearing some kind of foundation garment under that. And yeah, so I kind of like that. And also her hair, which is sort of a little bit of like a Gibson girl style, upswept style hair. So she's like, your typical grandmother. She'll be maybe a decade behind everybody else. So the higher collar. She's got the sort of the locket that she's wearing, just a little bit more old fashioned looking, and beautiful lace. And of course, that scene where oh my God, where she's like holding her hand until the very end, which is just, You know, I felt like I'm not completely sold on that scene for personally. It kind of felt a little bit like, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Was it? Is it the CG that,
I just
or
I just didn't like. I felt like for me it felt a bit gratuitous. It felt a
Yeah.
little bit over
okay?
the top. That's
I
just
can see
my
like
personal opinion.
I can see like the watching her burn like that was a little bit.
Yeah, and her holding her hand, and I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, you could see actually, like, the fabric is starting to just melt on her and then start to burn. And just,
Hmm.
like, it would be incredibly agonizing. I can, and even like, and Letty obviously is completely warded, completely protected because even the book, she's holding the book, her clothing, nothing, right? Catches on fire. She's completely protected. So it's like, there must be, like, I don't know. Rebecca, you could probably speak better to this. But she has like a protection all around her, not just
Yeah,
her,
I
her
mean,
body.
it doesn't make sense. Like, and this is
The
like,
book should have probably burned, right?
well, I can see
Well,
the
unless the
Yeah.
book is warded.
yeah, like the book has protection spell. There's no reason why those clothes would be
But
protected.
you know what? If the book had a protection spell, then it shouldn't have burned in the house fire to begin with for them to even have to go back to 1921.
Good point. But I'm
All right,
wondering if
so
it's
she
because
probably
Letty.
does have like this, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm wondering though if it's because Letty's holding it though. And she
yeah,
That's
was
what I
protected.
assumed.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I was thinking. Because I was thinking, well, none of her clothes are catching on fire, her hair's not catching on fire. Whereas Daenerys Targaryen, she comes out, but everything around her is burned away, right? Even I think her hair in the book burns away.
Yeah,
oh yeah, her hair is burned off in the book.
So in this case, it's like there's something more there,
Yeah,
than just her safety. Obviously, she's completely intact.
damn.
I'm sure that they talked about it. They would have talked about all this. At least I hope they would have. The book
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
wasn't warded. Remember, it burned. Yeah, that's what Alicia's
yeah,
saying. So
yeah.
it must have been her holding the book that protected the book itself.
Mhm.
All right, so we're almost at the end.
Again, it's like
It's so
Percy's giving me a
devastating.
hard time. He's like, I don't think the show follows the real rules of magic.
Yeah, by the way, before we go on, if you guys are okay with this,
I'm sorry. Vanessa points out like it might have gotten lost in the rubble.
Mhm.
Maybe it didn't burn itself.
So then it's like just out there somewhere.
Right. Well, but then why?
Yeah.
Then why not try time travel?
Because I think in the book it wasn't in the house; it was in like a safe or something, or at like a bank or something. And
Oh.
George and Montrose argued over who was going to go save the book, and one of them went and actually saved the book and kept it.
And Shatara has a good point. She's saying because of time travel, obviously we know that Atticus time traveled because
right.
his father remembered. So she might have snatched the book before the book burned. That's a very good point, Shatara.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why I hate time travel.
Yeah, it's like oh my God, it's like one big mind fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, once you like start thinking about it, again, it's
I
like
know.
the whole Harry Potter Patronus thing. It's like 13 Monkeys.
Oh my God, that movie.
Yeah, which I love
Holy
that
cow.
movie, but it's like
And that's Terry
you start
Gilliam.
thinking about time travel, it's like, wait.
Yeah,
no,
and I just watched
it's
Back to the Future, which is very campy. We watched the kids and I watched all three movies, and then there's this one scene. It's really funny where the professor, who's also in Clue, by the way.
Oh yeah, Christopher Lloyd.
He he has a chalkboard and he tries to draw everything that's happening. Like he's like, okay, there's this multiverse, and then we split off here, and then we went over here, so we gotta get back to this thing. And I'm like, there's no way you would have gotten back to that. Like there's it's just, it doesn't make sense. I think it's just sort of maybe supposed to be kind of fun, but big ball of wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just says.
Oh, no, like Nikki can tell you, like I just bitch to her about time travel all the time.
Yeah.
Like I just constantly complain to her about time travel and drive her insane.
Yeah. Okay. So then we just have the so we finished up with Atticus going in and saving the children, and And that was a very cool scene. And then we have Letty then walking out. And so we'll finish this off. And then I have some pictures I was going to show you guys that I just got from the photographer as well, if you're okay with that, me showing after. So I have, I think, did you had a couple of pictures as well, right? Oh, and then also, and Rebecca pointed this out to me, okay, this is what my big complaint about Jack, if you're watching Jack, you know this, I hate it. He'll for instance, he'll be like, okay, I've got the show queued up, and then he'll show the weeks before kind of thing, the wrap up thing. And so of course when I went to watch it, I'm like, oh, there's the scene from her dream. But he always does that. So I come in and he's already pushed through, and I'm like, would you knock it off? Stop doing that to me. So anyway, so what Rebecca pointed out to me, thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Is here she is walking through with the Bible, or sorry, with the book. And then if we go here, this is actually her dream where she's in the house, and she's actually pregnant here though, right?
Yeah.
Looks like she's pregnant, and she's wearing the same outfit. So Rebecca pointed that out to me. So I thought that was
Is it the same?
Yep.
It's the same, yeah. And here's a really good close-up of the dress.
It's at least has the same shoulder embellishment.
Oh, it's totally the same. It's totally the same.
Yeah.
No, after you told me that, I went in and you can see the shoulder thing there, and then this sort of embroidery here. There's these appliques, and when I went and looked at it on the other picture, you could totally see it. So it is. So it is purposeful. So it'd be nice to know about that.
Yeah, it's the same.
So there you can see sort of the little designs there on it.
Hmm.
It's the same thing. So yeah, it's interesting.
I caught it my second time because the first time I watched it, I was a few minutes late, so I hit skip, so I missed the previously on, and it was the second time, and they show that it's the previously on is always just watch that because that always tells you everything you might need to know for the episode.
Jenya says that's a clean loop in time travel talk.
Is it really?
Is it a clean loop?
Because someone had to start the loop, and that means that someone was always constantly time traveling.
Well, and in this dream, is this a psychic dream? Is that what you would call a psychic dream?
Maybe.
It's not really happening, but it sort of portends to something.
Yes. I don't know much about dream terminology, but
sort of it's sort of a warning. It's an omen, sort of
Well, and obviously, and it's also Hattie who has the book that she's following out through fire.
Yes.
Yes.
And she's catching on fire.
Hey, we don't need subtlety in our television viewing. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But it's interesting because when she had this dream, it's before she was protected. Before she had the protection spell.
Interesting. And Alicia's pointing out that Tick wore just like Tick's outfit too. So maybe in one of his dreams when he's running out, he's probably wearing the same outfit.
Oh my God. I have to go back and look at that, Alicia.
Yeah, because I thought he was in robes.
They were,
but I don't remember.
He had multiple dreams running out of the lodge. So yeah, you're right. The first one, he was in the robes. And then the second one, he was in a suit.
So we'll have to look at that. Yeah, it's closed. So everything that happened so they won't change the past because it's how it's supposed to be. Says Jalessa.
So even if they ran and told Thomas, you need to get out of here, then
somebody else would have just shot him.
Somebody else would have shot him.
Or, yeah.
That's usually, but again, I agree with what Tanya's saying, that time travel stuff, it's funny, but I think, doesn't Hippolyta say to them, don't run into yourselves or avoid yourselves? Does she say that?
She tells them not to do anything that'll change the future.
Yeah. Because they don't exist in that time period. That's Harry Potter, where they're you can't run into yourself.
Yeah. Well, they do that in Back to the Future as well. And of course he does, right? Several times. He runs, and then I don't want to tell you Tenet. It's another type of time travel.
I haven't seen Tenet. Yeah, and it's weird because everyone that I've seen that read that have seen it also can't seem to tell me what it's about. So
No, it's all kinds of.
Is it even
fucked
like
up.
more
It
crazy?
just looks
than
really good, Tanya.
Inception?
That's why I liked it. It looks amazing.
Is it?
what did you say?
Is it more crazy than Inception?
It is.
Oh, okay.
I'd say it's more ambitious. It's a more ambitious concept, but I don't know that any of it's really rooted in science. Like it's like some apparently he did take something that is scientific and then sort of, try to elaborate on that.
Well, I know like Interstellar definitely like followed like what they call like hard science fiction.
Yes.
Um
And apparently the way the black hole looks, that's what a real black hole looks like, apparently.
Cool.
He had scientists come up with that for him. It's sort of like a sphere with a line going through it, I think.
Yeah.
So apparently I could be getting that completely wrong, but I read something. So I think there is some hard science in it, but it's still kind of taking that extra, a little bit of a ridiculous leap. It's sort of like, it reminds me of Minority Report, like, precognition, like as a way to stop crime. It's sort of just like a little bit over the other edge. It's a bit like that. It reminds me a bit of that.
Yeah.
At least they didn't do it like number 5 in the Umbrella Academy. What did you mean?
I haven't watched the second season.
Oh, I see.
Yet.
Yeah, he totally screwed. Okay, yeah, he totally. Okay, I won't say anything.
I haven't watched the second season yet because I was waiting for my husband to catch up.
Oh yeah, it's really good. But again, it's kind of all over the place. Time travel, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of the same idea. Okay, so do we want to talk about just the very ending then?
Sure.
So what should we talk about? Who wants to go first?
Well, so once we get back through the portal, is that where we're picking this up?
Yeah, or you talked about the opera a little bit. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
I mean, that's pretty much like, like I said, the opera was written by the composer, so this was written for the piece. And I read, like I said, there's this like really interesting LA Times article about it, and it really, it was really just kind of capturing everything, like not just even what's in the episode. That's where my camera is. Just everything that's in the episode. And it was also written like back in May, and it was like right, when all the protests were starting and after George Floyd, and the synergy of what they were working on and what was happening in the real world or in the current world, was super strong in that. And it was also, I can't remember exactly like where the poem was decided upon, but she really wanted to like take that energy of the poem, and she was the one that brought it to Misha Green to do an operatic piece.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like, if anybody, it's like the sister, brother. It was funny when I was listening to it. It reminded me of the piece in The Fifth Element. Like there's Pablo Laguna. I was like, it kind of reminded me. And then also there's this opera singer who I saw in Ragtime in Toronto, and I can't remember her name, but she's a really famous opera singer. At first I thought that's who it was. I thought it was but I have to look it up. But then, so anyway, so I was like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, I have to look this up because it was just so amazing. Because normally I don't notice music unless like it's like what you're saying, Rebecca, with like a modern piece where I'm like, what is going on here? But normally I kind of, it kind of blends in and I just sort of don't really notice it. But with that, I was like, wow, what is this piece? It's amazing.
It was also like a huge, visual set piece as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's this, everyone, this Penelope.
Hi, Penelope.
And the planes.
Yeah, the planes. Which I kind of like. There was something about like that first plane that came through. There was a little bit of a weird little kind of like bounce in, because it was a biplane. There was a little bit of a bounce in it, and it like, to me, like it looked fake. And but I didn't need it to look real. There's something like, it kind of reminded me, like, it looked like a model from like a Tim Burton movie.
One thing I was gonna say, one thing I did appreciate is that we kind of saw the people in Tulsa like living their regular lives, at least just for a few moments, because I didn't know about this event until a few years ago because of Twitter. And when we get
Yeah,
it,
it's the 99th anniversary I was reading today.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But yeah, I didn't know about it
Or
until a
in
few
June,
years
in
ago.
June
It was
the
in June.
in June,
June.
yeah. It
Because
was the
it's like
99th.
yeah, because like isn't it like on Juneteenth or like right around Juneteenth?
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
don't
when,
remember
like
the date.
when
But I didn't know about it until like a few years ago, and like, you know, I just kind of like went on Wikipedia after I first heard about it. And then the next time I really saw anything about it was Watchmen. And you kind of show up in the middle of it, you know, like you see the woman playing the piano in the movie theater and the movie theater gets bombed. And so I was kind of happy to just like, I feel like when we hear about this, there's not a lot of talk about what this place was like before. And so it was kind of nice to like see, even though we know what's going to happen, it was nice to just see like kids getting ready for the prom there and people just kind of living their lives, because you kind of forget that like, despite what was happening with, I forgot the guy's name, Dick something. Despite what was happening at the jail that sparked all of this, like people were just living their lives before all of this happened. And so I was kind of happy, even knowing it's going to end so tragically. It was nice to just see like teenagers getting ready for their prom and like people kind of just going about their day, because we haven't seen anything about, was it Greenwood? Is that what it was called?
yeah, the neighborhood.
Yeah, we haven't seen
like
anything. Yeah, we haven't seen anything about it before. We've only seen the after effects and just like the tragedy.
So, I have not watched Watchmen. I know Heidi has, right?
I've watched a little bit of it. Jack, my husband, he loved it.
Got it.
I kind of like I didn't really get into it.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Westworld for you, but
Westworld.
What do you think was more impactful? Because that's been a lot of conversation. Like these two shows have like, you know, like examined this event in, you know, very, very quickly, like, you know, one after the other. Like,
yeah,
which had like a more impact for you?
I think that this one was harder to watch. In Watchmen, we see the massacre, but we don't witness. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I don't feel like we witnessed as many deaths, because some of it is from the point of view of this one child who's been stuffed into like a crate, and he's, you know, like someone shoots through the crate and he looks out of the bullet hole, and also from, you know, the perspective of his mother and father before they put him in the crate. You know, it's people escaping.
I did see that episode. I didn't even realize that was what's going on.
Yeah.
Wow, because
like his mother played piano in the theater, and then it gets bombed, and so they try to get their son out, and they write a note like "protect this boy" or something like that, and they put him in like a crate. Then the boy is on the back of a truck, and someone shoots a hole into the crate that he's in, but it misses him, and then he looks out, and you see like stuff going on, but it moves on. And I feel like in Watchmen, other than him, you don't really get to know anyone, and in Lovecraft Country, we've met the survivors of this attack. And so going back, you're meeting, you know the descendants. And so now you're meeting their family members, and then also watching them, you know, find out the prom is canceled. They don't think a massacre is about to happen. There's no possible way anybody could have thought like, oh, there's going to be 10,000 homeless people after this because all of our houses are going to be burned down. You know, so like I think this may have been more impactful because we get to see them before, even though it's only a short time before. It's like getting ready for prom. We all got ready for prom. On your prom night, you weren't thinking that a bunch of people were going to come and raze your town to the ground, you know, and neither were they, you know. And when Montrose is meeting Thomas, it's like inside I'm screaming like, oh my God, there's about to be a massacre. Go run, go hide. But of course they didn't think there was about to be a massacre. They have no idea what's going on because the man at the jail who was being protected from being lynched had nothing to do with them. They had no reason to think that this was going to come back on the entire town. And so I think that this was more, for me, more impactful just because, but I also liked that we got to see everyone before.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was just a short time before, but we still got to see everyone before, and you can and remember that these are people, they're not numbers.
Right.
Yeah, so I think Jack and I were the same. Like I didn't watch the whole Watchmen. It was probably like I wasn't completely like I'd walk in on it kind of thing. So, but Jack said when he watched it, he thought it was like another like alternative universe. Honest to God. And when I saw it, I thought the same. I thought it was an alternative reality of some kind. So I had no idea. And then when we were sitting the other night watching this, Jack's like, "Oh my God, this is just like the scene from The Watchmen." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he says, "This is like a real event." I'm like, "This is real?" So I didn't even know, and then until I looked it up, and then
a lot of people didn't know until Watchmen, and again,
no
I didn't. And the only reason I knew about it was because it was something that came up on Twitter a few years ago. And because I think 75 years after it happened is when it started to really be acknowledged publicly because people fought for it to be acknowledged publicly. Yeah. And so, I knew about it, but again, I only knew about it because of Twitter. I didn't learn this in school or anything. Yeah. And so when it happened in Watchmen, so I saw that first episode. I actually saw it at Comic-Con when they premiered it at Comic-Con, at New York Comic-Con. And when I watched it, I was like, holy shit, they're opening the show with the Tulsa massacre. And I was like, white people are going to be pissed because a lot of people didn't know about it. And in fact, a lot of white people were pissed because it was just kind of like, well, why do you have to bring this into it? But I got why they did, it's like.
Yeah. Well, I was fine. I was talking to my neighbor about it today, and she knew about it because I said, oh, I said, I don't know if you know this, but I have a YouTube channel and we're doing Lovecraft Country. She's like, oh, yeah, I saw the first episode. I love it. So we were talking about Tulsa 1921 and she knew about it. And because I was just like, she said that it was about money. It was really about like money and power.
Sure.
Because this community of people, they were the haves and they had money and they had power and
it was the richest black community in the country.
Yeah. And so it's just like, what's more threatening to a white community than a black community that has power or has money or influence?
And they made a point to show that they weren't just burning down houses and killing people, they were robbing the jewelry stores and things like that.
When I first heard about Tulsa, I heard of it in reference to Black Wall Street, and I don't remember. And
well, yes, that's what was referred to. Greenwood was called Black Wall Street,
right? And but that was what I heard, and but it's only been a handful of years. And one of the things I was reading today or yesterday, like one of the reviews I was reading was talking about like you're not just watching like yes, you're watching community get terrorized, you're watching people get killed, but you're watching generations of built wealth get
interrupted,
wiped out. And and as either Shatara or Alicia said in chat, like there's still people fighting to get like reparations back from like what their families lost like today.
I mean, it took 75 years for Oklahoma to even acknowledge that it happened.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
I read that they're just now teaching it in schools.
Yes, in 2020.
They used to call it the uprising or riots, and they're like, no, it was a massacre. It was like a genocide.
Yeah,
of an entire group of individuals.
And it all started because a black man in an elevator grabbed the arm of a white woman. They believe he may have like tripped or something, and she screamed.
Yeah.
And so people thought he assaulted her.
Yeah.
And but there was never like a manhunt for anything like that. So it wasn't believed that he actually assaulted her, but that sparked it and people wanted to lynch him. And so members of the Greenwood community went to go protect him so that he wouldn't get lynched and so that he could just go to trial, and white people showed up, and the sheriff sent the black people who showed up to protect them. The sheriff sent them home, and there was a lynch mob, and it's
deputized. Like
yeah, and yes, they were deputized. Like and basically some people, a shootout happened at the jail, and they were deputized to go into Greenwood and basically kill people, and all night long. It wasn't until I think like noon the following day that they finally sent in National Guard to stop it.
Well, even like when Tick and Letty and Montrose get there, he said, Mama's house burned down the first night. And it's
right. Because it happened over 2 days, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, with the way, I don't want to get too political, but with the way things are right now, you feel like if something like this happened, I could see a delay happening because...
Oh, absolutely.
You
already have so-called militias.
Let's just wait a little while to send in the National Guard.
Well, I mean, even when it's like just a humanitarian crisis, like Katrina, like how many days did it take for them to send in the National Guard there?
Mm-hmm. And then you already have so-called militias right now stopping people. And
I just was going to tell everyone, I put in the comments or in the description, there's a really great article in the from the Southern Poverty Law Center. I put a really great article about this. It's a pretty extensive article. I know Rebecca and I both been reading articles today about it, but if you want to learn a little bit about it, you can just even type in Tulsa Massacre. I think that's all you even need. And
Tulsa Race Massacre it's not a fun thing to type, but
no. But yeah, so that's down in the description if you guys want to read more about it. I think about it all the time, says Shatara. Are you talking about our current state of affairs? I feel very blessed to live in Canada. That's all I can say. But I'm hoping...
I will say, I don't know where everybody is, but please vote. And also, if you can vote, go vote in person. If you're using an absentee ballot, please drop it off. Research where your state election boards have validated drop-off boxes, because there's some fuck shittery going on all over the place. Like even in California, like the Republican Party was putting drop boxes
that weren't real or whatever. I saw that.
Yeah, well,
I've actually had to start muting a lot of things on Twitter just to keep my sanity and to not fall into drug abuse.
This is like the New York Times I was reading. And
it's
so if you're doing an absentee ballot, like research like your drop-off locations in your state and in your county. A lot of times you can, well, I know in New York, like you're going to be able to drop them off at the polling place, but if you can vote in person, please vote in person, because...
Oh, Jenny, that's really nice. She said, my great-grandmother told me when I was young, when I interviewed her, about historical moments in her life. That's really nice. I was going to say, one of the things that sort of this reminded me of is that, in Canada, we have a horrible history of First Nations genocide. And so it kind of reminded me a little bit of that and how we've swept it under the rug and how it's been hundreds of years. And we have this thing called the reconciliation, which I did read that there is some attempts at doing some type of reconciliation and reparation for that. So I'm hoping maybe this show will have people like me who never had heard about it, like look it up and want to learn more about it. And Emmett Till and, things like that. I think it's nice if you can have a show that has a really great story and isn't, is kind of fun and there's lots of cool things, but also if there can be some elements of history in there. And I always love history too, because this is why I always say when I make fun of shows like Rain, and I'm like, well, history can be fun. History can be interesting and
Can you
fascinating. And
bring the show about Mary Queen of Scots,
yeah, but
where
it's really, it's all
wearing
just
like
one big,
3 people? Oh,
they're all wearing like H&M, and
yeah,
there's nothing really historically accurate about it at all.
yeah.
And
I love that shit.
I
So,
know, I know. It's kind of, it can be fun, but at the same time, I'm like, but historical stuff can be really fun too.
sure.
And so,
I hope that also people realize like Tulsa wasn't the first or the last.
Right.
You
Oh
know,
well,
no.
years ago, I saw, was it Rosewood?
I saw Rosewood when I was like 12 or
Oh
13.
my God.
And
And
it
I can't remember who was
honestly
in
like
that, but yeah,
ruined
yeah,
me.
absolutely.
I probably shouldn't have watched it at that
Yeah.
age, but at the same
I don't
time,
remember how
like,
old I was. I think I was in my teens though when I watched it.
no, I was in middle school when I watched it.
That's pretty
And
young.
like I was in middle school, and I honestly I remember feeling like I couldn't even like go outside. I didn't even want to see other people because I was so upset by it, knowing that it was based on real events, you know. Rosewood, and I haven't watched it since. And I think there are things about it I remember that were just so heartbreaking. And like, you know, I grew up in a predominantly white suburb, and I just felt like I can't even go outside right now. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna just stay in the house for the next few days until I get past this.
Yeah.
That was a hard watch for me at 12.
Yeah.
I was telling Jack today, I said, you know, the guy in the Matrix kind of has it right about humans being like a virus. Like just some of the things that we do to our fellow human beings, it just baffles me.
I mean, as
And
recently as 1985, you
oh
know, in
yeah.
Philadelphia, with the bombing of Move, you know, that was another thing that I learned about because of social media that I didn't learn about in school, and that was in 1985. You know, and
Well,
it's
it was
like,
the same with like in Canada, like we've had residential schools up and just till recently. We've been putting people, like taking them away from their families and sticking them in residential schools. And so just the things that humans do to one another, it just baffles me. So I'm happy to like, you know, I love the show. I think it's a really, it's kind of a ride, but at the same time I do like that they do mix in historical moments as well,
mhm.
and you can learn something from it. And then like even if you just watch the show for the show, okay, fine, but it's nice then if you can then go off and read after the fact. And like for instance, I was like, what's this music? I'm really fascinated with this music.
But I
I
mean,
just want
even
to talk
knowing
about
about this, it does add to the story because it gives you Montrose and George's background.
Yeah.
And it helps you
Yeah.
understand why Montrose and George fell in love with the same woman and why they were able to forgive each other for both being with her. Because like he said, like that created a bond between them that was unbreakable. You know,
Yeah.
you go through something like that together, like, you know, it creates a completely different kind of bond than you'll have with anybody else.
Tanya, I want to ask, is it in the book though, by the way?
That's their history?
Yeah.
Tulsa.
The
Yes.
Tulsa part? Oh, it is in the book. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they
I
don't
just
like
started
travel back in time to Tulsa, but that is
Oh,
part
okay.
of like their
Sure.
backstory.
So
Yeah.
I'm just starting to read the book. I'm only at I'm at the part where they get to Artem and William greets them, and it's kind of funny actually. My favorite part so far is Letty has the closet, and then she finds all these great dresses, and she tries to steal them and smuggle them and put them in the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, I totally. She's like, they don't need these things. They fit me perfectly. I'm gonna.
Right.
She doesn't understand. It's charmed. Yeah, it's so funny.
Heidi, Alicia's asking what a residential school is.
Oh, okay. So,
I'll be right back.
in Canada, we have these nations, like these First Nations, and what in Canada they had this thing. I can't remember what year it was, but they decided that we had what was called an Indian problem. And so, what they decided to do is round up all of these people who lived on all these different nations across the nation and send them to what were called residential schools. And the idea was to basically knock the Indian out of them, remove their culture for them, take them from their families.
And this is current?
Well, I think the last school closed in like the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So we have this thing called the Reconciliation Commission. So we're trying to do reparations for all of these people because there's people who are alive still. But they would do like and I don't want to bash the Christians, but it was basically these schools were run by Christians and the Catholics mostly. So there was a lot of abuse and there was murder as well. Like so, a lot of the children died. A lot of them died from TB, but they died from all kinds of things. And so it's a horrible, horrible blight on our
Yeah.
history. And so we didn't go in and, bomb a town with planes, but we basically killed thousands and thousands of First Nations people through this. And so that's our history. And then, so we have a horrible history of it. And it's something that it's very shameful. And I know there's stuff that happened in the States too, I'm sure.
Oh, a few things.
A few things.
Like
stealing land and things like that.
And now kind of bringing even though like this is obviously, not all rooted in history, but remember the conversation that we were having about Yaima?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I was thinking about that today.
So Misha Green talked about that on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And
I saw that.
And she basically said like we messed up. And she's like it was a lot of things that she did not think about, that she didn't unpack at the time. She didn't go into like, I mean, it was on Twitter, but she basically said that was, that was one of the swings and miss that they had.
Is there a reason for it though? Like, what's the reason behind it? Like, in terms of like a story reason? I mean, are we going to get a payoff for that? Like,
I don't
he
think
says,
so.
"I'm sorry."
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
but I don't understand why he did.
I
think it was just to keep her from translating the pages,
Yeah.
and that she didn't think about the broader implications of what killing this character would mean.
Right.
Like I think it was literally just meant to be like, I have to kill Yahima because she knows how to, translate these pages.
And he was trying to like end the whole
right. But I don't think they thought about what that would mean.
Yes.
In a broader sense.
Yeah.
To have to introduce a character like that and then immediately have her murdered.
Killer or them, sorry. And without thinking about, both like when we're talking about, more in like indigenous cultures, and also like, the two-spirit transgender, or two-spirit, I think is a better way to put it, because they're not trans.
I've seen on Wikipedia, which is, I'm not saying it's the best thing, in under under Lovecraft Country, they describe them as two-spirit.
Yeah, it's a little bit and I can't speak about it for like every indigenous culture, but I know within some Native American cultures that sexuality is not a very binary thing. It wasn't just like there's men and women and that's it. There was a lot of like in-betweens, and usually.
Have you ever read Octavia Butler's Xenogenesis?
I have not.
Series?
We've been talking about it a lot, or people have been talking about it a bunch of my like witchcraft school group.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because there are characters in it that are male, female, and neither.
Oh, okay.
The Owen Kali, and like they're just neither. Like they're not trans. They're aliens that are male, female, and then a third that is just neither. And it's really interesting because like that third gender, I guess if you want to call it that, the way it interacts with humans, humans have such a hard time with it, particularly men, because they're like, okay, but is it male or female? And they're like, it's neither. It's a really good series if you ever get into it. I really enjoyed it when I read it.
Well, it's funny.
In fact, I want to reread it.
I remember years ago, like, I took French in school, which has 2 genders. And then I took German, which has 3 genders. And I always thought that was really interesting that the German language has 3 genders. But they call it masculine, feminine, neuter. So
Hmm.
it's neither in neutral, like neither feminine nor, and I always thought that was really, really weird. So, um, but you're saying it's like an alien species that
Yeah,
Tanya?
it's an alien. Like the premise is basically an alien species that saves as many people from Earth as it can before Earth is destroyed. And
Yeah. Okay.
there are males, females, and then a third that I think are called Oankali. No, the overall group is called Oankali. What is the third one called? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. It's been some time, but um they the male and female mate through that third one. So they have
Oh.
the human male and female in order to mate go through that third
Oh, that's neat.
Oankali gender. And in the series it's like an issue for some men because they don't it was just like the men in particular, you have to also consider the time it was written, but they have a hard time with it because they're like, okay, but is it a man? Am I like, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
it's neither. And it's really hard for people to grasp that it's neither. But and basically the premise is that they are mating with humans to create a new species that can like survive on Earth.
Oh, I want to read that. Is it a science fiction novel?
Yes.
Oh, it sounds really interesting.
Yes. What's the first one called? I have to think about it. But it's the Xenogenesis trilogy.
Oh, okay. Before we wrap up, I was just
Yeah.
like wondering if I can show you guys. So I was mentioning on Instagram, I found the photographer, like you know how Game of Thrones had a photographer, Helen Sloan, I think. So they have an on-set photographer, and his stuff is really amazing. So he did that picture of Atticus with a coffee cup, you know. So, anyways, here's a few. I love these pictures of some of the background players. Thought I'd show you guys, and some of the costumes too are really really fun. So you can find it. And then here's one. This is like just one of the group shots here. I don't know if this is the mob.
Yes.
So and then some of the classic cars.
I
I love
loved
this.
seeing the women fighting back.
Isn't that great? I love that too. Actually, the scene where they go into, I don't know if it's like a safe and they pull all the pistols out and give
Oh,
here's a
yeah.
pistol for you.
It's like a drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
drawer of
drawer.
pistols.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie.
Awesome.
This actually made me want to go get a gun, and
Yeah,
licensed.
This is great. Actually, the cars in this are really amazing. And here's another one here.
Oh
This is
wow.
black and white. So he does a series like he does black and white and he does color, which I love black and white photos.
Yeah.
I just want a drawer full of guns, but I have a toddler, so I have to think about the logistics.
If I was going to own a weapon, I would own a sword.
You just have to get a lock drawer full of guns.
It's true. And what's funny? I've been seeing the same ad over and over on Amazon for this gun safe that you can fit that use a fingerprint to open instead of a code.
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay.
is it a sign?
That means that you've been looking stuff up.
Yeah.
Well, last week, oh my God, like last week, I'm like, we're in the middle of doing this. I'm hosting, and I start getting text messages from one of my friends. Her husband had ordered a bag on Amazon, and they got it, and there was something heavy in it, and it was a full clip, like 9mm clip, hollow point bullets.
Holy shit.
Just in this bag that they ordered from Amazon. We
Whoops.
never like found out anymore. And it's like, why do you guys even know it's hollow point bullets? But
that's crazy.
Tara, I was going to tell you, if you want this picture, I can email it to you. But it is also on the photographer on Instagram, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I found it through it. I think Misha, the showrunner, I think she adds him sometimes. Now and then, so then in my very very short amount of time, I was able to find some of the pictures from, is it Greenville?
Greenwood,
yeah. So this is a store, like a shop. I think I got this from the Southern Poverty Center center article I was reading. So here's a group shot of people. So I love this because you see like all the women in their little cloche hats, and the men with their fedoras and Homburgs and all the different hats and coats and shoes. It's really really cool. because I know a lot of people were probably showing pictures of the massacre. So like Tanya was talking to you, I wanted to kind of find some pictures of
Before
what it looked like before,
Mm-hmm.
And here's this is just a group shot of, I love this, just again, all the, the suits and the neckties. And so I'm not sure exactly, this was unlabeled, so I'm not sure who these gentlemen are, but I just thought it was a really great shot. And you can see some of them wearing those super high collars.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's a picture. I love this picture. This is one of an actual of them in a car. So I think it's a family. So I don't know if anyone in the chat knows much about cars. It's like a Model T or something. Not sure. Here's a picture. I don't know what this is. If it's like a ticker tape parade or maybe after the war, perhaps, because it was just after World War One.
Yeah.
So you can see all the shops and everything there. And then this is, I think, like a market, maybe. People are lining up. Again, all the awesome hats that people were wearing. And then now this one, I think, is just after the massacre. They were going around picking up people. And then finally, I found this picture, which I just love this picture so much. So I think this is just after or during, or I think it's after. He's just like putting his hands up. But look how grimy the sleeves are. Because remember I was talking about earlier, normally, yeah. He might have had a jacket on and it just, took the jacket off. But I love this picture. Yeah. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to show you some of those because it's just like, instead of showing all the the despair, because there was tons of pictures like that, but I was just like, I wanted to just see what the real people look like. But anyways, if anybody wants any of these pictures, I'm happy to send them to you. You can just email me. It's heidi@costumeco.ca, and I'm happy to send them to you. And if you ever, or I have my email also on, I think I have it on my channel. Like if you go to my channel, it's there under Costume Co, but it's heidi@costumeco.ca, and I'm always happy to send you pictures. Actually, I got a really nice email from a girl the other day. It was so sweet. She's doing a thesis. She's doing a feminist thesis, and she's doing it on Marjorie Terrell's wedding gown. Ooh. The first one, marrying, because like that gown.
Like marrying Renly or marrying Joffrey?
Joffrey, because it's got the thorns all over it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like she's designed it kind of like as a protection for herself, like kind of like armor for herself. And so it's like, this is going to be on my terms. I mean, they never got past that, but just like, she's like, this is on my terms, as opposed to Sansa's dress, which was designed by Cersei, the one that she wears when she marries Tyrion. So I was like, that's very cool. So she asked me if I could send her my sources, like of how I got all the information. I'm like, absolutely. I'd love to help you. So that was kind of cool. So do you guys have anything else to say regarding the episode? Any final thoughts?
Oh,
I loved
kind of exhausting,
turning. I did enjoy seeing Hippolyta's hair turn blue.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Blue.
Rebecca, you've got a picture of that, don't you?
I do. Hold
on.
Oh,
Eli Joshua. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
So
I think he's actually, or is it Ellie? Ellie, I think it's Ellie_Joshua on Instagram.
Yeah. But yeah. Hold on. Where are you? Oh.
Yes, so thank you.
I properly labeled.
Yeah, exactly, Vanessa. Yeah, she said that poor man, he was probably fighting for days. I wish, unfortunately, some of the, the pictures weren't labeled, so I don't have a proper context to it. That's so good. Wow.
Yeah.
Poor Hippolyta.
She's also just so gorgeous.
Oh, she is amazing.
You know what? I'm not saying poor Hippolyta at all. I mean, like, this kind of looks like it hurts, and I can't imagine like having like motherboard ports in your wrist, but this woman like has lived like, 200 like normal Earth years, and she's like a goddess descent. Like,
Right.
there's a little bit, thinking. I haven't seen the show American Gods, but it is one of my favorite books. And
you gotta see only season 1 though. Season 2 is terrible.
I was just about to say I could not get through season 2.
Oh, season 2 is so bad. It's a different showrunner.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't get through season 2, and I eventually just canceled Stars altogether.
Tanya, and they're selling everything. There's a big auction in Toronto for all the stuff.
Really? The book is so good, and I was so excited about the show happening.
Everything I heard about the show, like, it just like turned into a disaster, which is so disappointing. Because I
started season 2 and then just like couldn't finish
it. Oh God, why am I'm brain dead today.
Orlando.
It's not Nancy.
Mr. Nan, and it's like,
and he was amazing in season 1.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's just, and it sounded like the way it ended was just not good.
I didn't even, what? I thought it was the mid-season. And Jack goes, no, that's the end of the season. I'm like, no, you're kidding me. You got to be fucking with me. That cannot be the end of the season. He goes, no, it is. I was like, what? It's so bad. And, but I'd heard Brian Greene had left. I don't know if he had a disagreement with them. He's a difficult person apparently. So I'm not, defending him. But and Orlando ended up, they let him go because he spoke up against it, but rightfully so.
And also, like, according to Orlando, like, they felt like some of I did know that they changed some of the writers because they felt like some of the things that they had Mr. Nancy saying would like rile Black people up in the wrong way. And they were like, the argument was like, that's not what they need right now. And Orlando was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? And he shouted out certain people being like, okay, these folks were good. They're on my side. But overall, they wanted Mr. Nancy gone. And some of the monologues he did were really powerful. And not from the books. They were just, but I started the second, I don't even remember how many episodes I got into the second season and just like didn't continue. And then I kept saying, man, I need to get back to that. And then just kind of never did. And then I canceled Stars and I was just like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to get to that.
Yeah, it's really too bad.
I was waiting for it to like have a couple seasons and I was just like going to buy it on iTunes because I was like, I can't subscribe to another thing.
No, I know.
I just,
Jenya says wasn't one of the things Orinthia Blue was known for in Dee's comics to fix intergalactic machines? Way to bring that back.
Oh, I didn't remember that, but that's cool.
Yeah, I would imagine everything that's like happening to Hippolyta becoming Orinthia Blue is like out of Dee's comics. Mm-hmm. And that's like one thing I thought Dee and her episode was amazing, but I thought she was going to have a little bit more of a role to play, like that she was going to have a little bit more agency. Might see it. I doubt it. I don't see Dee.
There's one episode left, so I don't.
Yeah, maybe the next season. I'm a little worried about the next episode because I feel like there's still a lot of questions.
Yeah, it might feel kind of rushed.
And if we're only going to get an hour-long episode. And
I will say I was really happy. So this is more to do with not last week, the week before with Hippolyta's episode and her ending it with being Hippolyta Discoverer.
Right.
And I thought it was really sweet that, Dee has seen her like this all along.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, and so like to think about what she said about having to shrink herself and all of these things, but even through all of that, all along, Dee has seen her as Hippolyta Discoverer and, really created the Hippolyta that we're seeing in the still right now.
Yeah.
Dee created that. And so I thought that was really sweet.
Or at least Dee knew it was always,
She knew it was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really sweet.
Like that scene, like when the episode they go to the museum and
yes, when she shouts about her naming that comet or whatever, or the planet, not the comet,
yes.
planet. Oh, Dee.
Yeah. I'm worried about Dee is going to be next episode because it looks like all hands on deck in Artem. So who babysitting my girl this time? I was actually, Alicia, I was kind of glad that they did kind of get into that. You know, because remember it was like last week we were talking about this, like why is nobody watching Dee? Like, why is and we're always saying terrible babysitters. So at the very beginning of the cold open, they're all arguing who's responsible for screwing up. Like Letty, she's like, she can't even breathe. And Letty's like, go in and tell Montrose. So that was good. My mama's name is Greek asshole.
Oh, that was funny. Like, because
I love that line.
It's awesome.
He's like, oh, these Negroes and their crazy names. It's just like, it's Greek asshole.
I will
light a bitch.
When Ruby was calling them out, she's like, you all messed up. Ruby was the one that decided that she needed to go bang Williams. So, or Christina.
Right.
Too.
Like, excuse me, Ruby, you left to go get some dick. I don't want to hear your excuses for it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you left to go get some to get the D. Like
the one that was left in charge. She was the one staying.
You were the one living in the house with her. So, but again, it's like Ruby thinks of herself as better than everyone else. So I think that's another example of that. Like, you're all to blame. It's like, well, where were you?
Yeah,
where were you? None of us know. Where were you? You're the one living there. So where were you? Why was Montrose left to go chase her into the bathroom?
I was having mind-blowing, skin-shedding sex. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least you just said.
Yeah, Jenya says Ruby's
like, you were the one living with her. Because you're supposed to be the responsible one, and you decided you needed some grief dick, which fine, but you're also babysitting right now, so you can't go get some grief dick. I'm sorry, you have to watch her.
Grief dick.
Oh God, I sent the link to my mother-in-law. I hope she's not watching this and heard me say that.
That's so funny.
I know there was one stream I was on, and I gave the link to my nieces, and at some point I was like, I'm not doing that again.
Oh, yeah. I think it was ours, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I can't remember which one.
Was it the one we did on Halloween or on?
No.
It was on Supernatural, was it?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, it's kind of late, so if she was watching, she's probably not watching now. But my mother-in-law is like super supportive and watches like everything, and she watches the show. So I sent her the link, and she watched last time I was on too.
Oh,
but she couldn't stay for the whole thing. So hopefully she missed me talking about grief dick and doesn't decide to go back.
I sort of decided in my mind that the reason why
no rewatch.
I sort of decided in my mind that the reason why maybe Letty knows how to hotwire a car is her brother taught her, even though they have a strained relationship. Maybe he did that for her.
Well, I mean, Letty definitely has.
She's lived a life. Yeah,
she has lived, and she's been arrested. She's bailed other people out of jail. Like, I'm sure she has had cause to hotwire a car too. I buy it. It's good.
A getaway car. Alicia's like,
oh.
I thought it was a nod to Black women not being heard or have a voice, and that's why she choked on her words when she talked to Letty. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, the curse, the actual curse was that whatever come around her is going to basically turn into something to attack her, and anytime she tries to tell someone what's happening, her throat's going to close. And so that's why she had to draw, what was going on. That it was part of the curse, was that she couldn't tell anybody that she was cursed or that she even saw the cops. That's why when she was talking to Letty, her throat basically started to close.
I think Kai's just saying that she's thinking that maybe that's just a subtext of that, though.
Yeah.
100% agree. I guess what I missed, I understood her, like unable to speak. I didn't realize that it was like so direct that it was like that was the first thing she saw. I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Jenya says some of us call that a Monday night. Regarding that other thing you were talking about.
The grief dick?
Yeah. I don't
Shutting.
think I've ever had that.
What, grief dick?
I don't think so. Oh, maybe I have. I don't know. I have to think about it. I'm going to think about it.
Well,
we've
I'm
all
currently
had,
in mourning,
we've all
so.
had our weird.
Yes.
Yeah. We've all
okay.
had like sex at inappropriate times.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just most of us don't leave behind a child who we're supposed to be watching who's grieving.
Yeah.
Hey,
most of us, not all of us.
No
most
judgment. No judgments. Sorry.
Judgment on Ruby.
Judgments.
We're putting a bit of judgment on Ruby though, because she's
just a little.
Yeah,
she's a bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah,
she is.
And I think that's on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's also like a little bit of that like big sister, I know better than you.
Right. And don't do as I say, not as I do. You know, like you look at her anger at
she's like, it was her father that shot you, and and she saved your life. I love Ruby. Like her physicality is.
I was saying to Heidi earlier, like, of course she's okay with Atticus dying. Like he's this homosexual who got her little sister pregnant. Yeah, and brought literal monsters into their life. So like,
yeah.
She's not going to see it on the same way that Letty does.
Yeah. Oh, Jenya, I stubbed my toe before the stream, actually. I was like coming in, I had a chair in the way, and I was like, ah! So yeah, I already did it. I have a husband upstairs. I'm sure I could get some grief, grief. I feel weird saying my husband's dick. Grief penis. I hope you're not watching, honey. Anyway. Oh my God. Rebecca, I was going to tell you, everyone knows, I've told you, I'm sure many times, that we have legal cannabis here in Canada. So last week after talking to Rebecca, my husband and I went to the cannabis store. Okay. I've only ordered online. I went to the cannabis store. You know what it's like up here? It's like a freaking spa. You go in there.
It's like, it's like
beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like beautiful lighting, the decor, all the staff are like dressed really nicely. Everything is calm and quiet. And they're playing like new age music. And they're like, there's like, I think they even like use essential oils or something. There's this really nice person at the front who makes sure you're of age. And I asked them if they wanted my ID. And they said, no, thank you, ma'am. I'm like, well, I can only hope. So anyway, yeah, it was a wonderful experience. And they're like, oh, Jack's like, oh, do you have this? And she goes, oh, we don't have it on the sign, but I can look it up in the computer for you if you like. It was just like,
hey, if you're gonna be working at like the weed shop,
yes.
Like you either have to be like the zenest motherfucker
they were
ever, or you're gonna be a complete like shit.
They were like, though, and then you order it. It's kind of like ordering takeout, and then they go to the back, and then they come out and hand it to you in a nice little bag. And then there was a new like a shawarma place opening up just next door. And I said to them, oh, you guys have found a really great location, right? Because you're a shawarma place. They go, yeah, we're opening next week. Here's some discount coupons. They gave us some coupons. Come back and get some shawarma next time you come to get your drugs.
Come in, get shawarma.
Yeah, it's a one-stop shop. You just need to have a liquor store across the street.
Right?
Anyways, guys, I can talk about this because it's legal here. Okay, like so. No, this is totally fine.
I haven't gone into the one in Boston. My husband has, but like right now, you have to like order it online and then go and pick it up and pay in person. It's like a running joke with my friends. I have no tolerance for THC at all.
Yeah, no, I know some people are allergic to it, and what I found was. If I have too much THC, it gives me anxiety. But if I found like if I do a split, like a CBD THC split, it's totally just I totally chill out. So we were watching. What were we watching? And we were watching something, and I just like was out.
No, the first time. The
Yeah.
first time I ever tried it was like not that long ago, and I had a full-blown anxiety attack. And then
Oh.
I waited a few years, and then I had until I could try it, like where I knew exactly how much I was taking, and I only had 5 milligrams. Ended up watching Xanadu and going on this long lecture about the history of pineapples in the Jamaican coat of arms. And my husband
Wow.
sat and listened to it.
I would love
And
to
I
talk to you
am not
about,
a historian.
I would love to talk to you about the coat of arms, the Jamaican pineapples, because
Well,
I know I
have
have seen
pineapples.
pineapples in coat of arms. That would be very cool. And
Yeah,
you
they
went into
were like a
Koshman's time, so-
luxury item. you
Yeah,
know,
that totally
way
makes
back when.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It turned into like this whole thing that
By
he
the way,
sat and
I have
listened
the
to.
Xanadu soundtrack, which I love listening to. And I actually was saying to Jack the other day, I said, we should really rewatch Xanadu. That would be really
Oh
fun.
my god, that movie is insane.
It
And
is
then
insane.
and the night that Lovecraft Country premiered, I took 2.5 milligrams because I had cramps. And you know, I've been told like that it'll help for cramps. Well, it
Yes.
did not help my cramps.
Oh.
Instead, I couldn't stop screaming during the episode. And I was
Oh
watching
my
it with my
God.
father-in-law, and I just couldn't stop screaming. And I just kept screaming, and he kept jumping like, what the hell is happening? And like I just couldn't stop screaming. And I was like, wow, 2.5 milligrams, and I can't stop screaming.
I think
Yeah,
So-
Shatara says you need to find the right combo.
you need
So
to
that's
find
what
the
it
right
is.
combo. I
Yeah.
think it's also like one of those things like once if you decide you want to partake in it more than once every like few years, like you kind of like, get used to it. But
yeah.
did I tell you? So my dad, for my birthday, he thought he was cute. He like sent me money to like get something, and he's like, I'm sending you $10 for every year. Because I opened it up, I was like, why is my dad sending me $420? And you know, so I teased him. I got $10 a year, and I, you know, called him up and I was like, Dad, thank you. That's very nice. It's very generous. Do you know what 420 means? And he's like, no, I don't. What does it mean? I was like, it's marijuana, Dad. And I kept sending him like Cheech and Chong gifts all
Yeah.
day. And he's like, well, how would I have known that? My dad like graduated from high school in 1968. It's like, come on, Dad. Like,
my dad's a Rasta.
oh well, yeah.
Oh.
So yeah.
My dad is not a Rasta. My dad, I guarantee you, has never smoked a joint in his life. But
my dad won't
like,
smoke in front of any of us.
With the money I gave you, and I was like, oh, of course, Dad.
No, my dad won't smoke in front of me, but he finally asked me this past January if I smoke. And I was like, no. And he was like genuinely shocked that I don't. People are always really shocked that I don't. I've never smoked. I've never even like tried a cigarette before. And people are always like really shocked by that. I just like drinking, you know, I stick to what I know.
Yeah, my dad's never smoked. My mom has. And and she's even smoked in front of me, like smoked a joint with
Marijuana?
yeah, in front of me with my brother.
My mom can't even drink wine. She had
Oh,
half a
really?
glass of wine once, and I had to drive her home because she was completely
Aw.
wrecked. Yeah, my parents. It was a disaster. I was like, "Are you serious
Wow.
right now? Like, you had literally half a glass of wine, and she could not drive herself home." So, yeah, no.
So I
Anyway.
guess Rebecca, we don't have next week's promo, do we? I think that John usually does that. Okay, so guys, I don't.
I mean,
I watched it. I don't quite remember what happens. It's the finale.
It's the finale, and you know, is Christina going to kill Tick? Is she going to gain immortality? I guess the big question for me is like, are they going to leave it open for season 2?
Yeah. And
That's
I
the big question for me too.
Yeah, and I think Montrose is going to sacrifice himself. I think we talked about that.
Yeah, but now I'm not. Well,
Now that you saw what happened the last.
I mean, I
episode.
feel like before Montrose sacrifices himself, he'll kill Christina.
He could, yes.
I think that's a possibility.
Well, I think it seems logical that she'll die the next episode. Like she's kind of like the, if she's set up to be the big bad. Oh, Alicia says my mom has asthma, so my little sister made weed tea for us one night. One of the most hilarious movie watching sessions I've ever had with them. Yes.
My grandma used to drink weed tea, but it was never hilarious. She's just like drink tea and like chill out, listen to the radio.
I guess it depends what kind of. So so if I don't know if any of you guys in the chat gals have seen the promo for next week. So
I feel like I watched it, but I can't remember it.
I don't remember. I just remember sort of building up to whatever.
They're back at Artem.
Yes.
And he's strapped to this thing.
They're in that like covered bridge, and like the townies start descending upon them. I believe Jiha is there.
I was just about to say, where's Jiha?
I'm gonna say she has to be there.
Yeah, where is she? We haven't seen her since she showed up at the house.
Well,
she has a role
she's just going to be there, guys. That's the way the show goes.
As Melisandre would say, she has a role to play.
I just now thought of it. I'm like, she wasn't.
Said that?
Like, where is she? Is she staying at the boarding house? Like, it's not like she came from North Korea, South Korea. It's not like.
Does D get cured? All these questions maybe will be answered next week.
Yeah, I guess the big question is whether or not we're gonna have a season 2. Like right now, like online, nothing.
Yeah,
but it's also really hard right now to like even attempt, without knowing like what's going on with production in the next year.
Yeah, so Alicia says there was a lot going on, but the part I zoned in on was Jiha and Hippolyta fighting the residents of Artem on the bridge. So the residents, those are the, in the book they call them the Adamites, I think.
Oh, right, because there's like a village of people who live in,
or just
that live there.
They look like New England towners.
They're supposed to be, they're just supposed to be followers of.
Yeah, they
are followers of. Like the Book of Adam or
the Book of Adam,
and it's like a village. Like they're not like modern.
Yeah, they live kind of like Mennonites or whatever. They don't use electricity, and they don't sort of. That's just as far as I've gotten. But in the book, they sort of, or in the show, they kind of show it. Like they show them going down into the village or whatever. Those are those people, and then what's her name would have been one of those people.
Dell,
yeah, she's one of them. She's a bit different in the book, I think, though.
Yes, it's a completely different situation in the book.
So Alicia thinks if Christina dies, we won't get a season 2. If she lives, there will be definitely a season 2, in my opinion. Well, because you think that she would carry on being the bad guy if she doesn't die. They could come up with a new monster, a new baddie next season.
Yeah, because I guess the thing is, if Tick lives. Are they going to continue the story? Because at some point, like this is all about Tick's lineage.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't personally think he would die. Like,
I think we're going to get one season.
Finale. Yeah. I think he's the hero.
Or maybe it'll be like one of those great things, like, like a couple of years from now, like Lovecraft Country season 2 will be like a different, like it'll be like an anthology series.
Yeah. That like kind of like what was that show called? Where they use all the same actors in it.
American Horror
Story. And actually right now I started just watching, actually I fell asleep at it, but there's that new, House on Haunted Hill or Haunted House on Hill.
Oh yeah, somebody's telling me about that.
Yeah, so I'm watching the second one and it's that same idea. They're using all the same cast, but in different roles. Yeah. But
that'd be fun.
It would be fun, actually. That's a great idea. I like that. You should pitch it.
Misha Green, can I please take your idea?
Apparently, Netflix were taking ideas, and show ideas.
I just saw Alicia's comment.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're a bunch of I don't know, they're a bunch of racists. So it's sort of like, although I don't know, yeah. So the other thing I was going to say is, so next week, Alicia, I messaged you. We are, I think, going to have Alicia. You're going to come on the show next week for the grand finale. to talk? We'll wait for her to respond. But I think Alicia Kingston is going to come on. And then are we also going to have another special guest?
Yes, we are. Mr. Silas Toms will be back with us. AKA
Yes, we're going to have Silas back. Yeah. And Alicia, is she answering? Hello, everyone. Oh, hey, Tawny. How are you? Tawny says it's their first time here. Tawny, we're just wrapping up. I'm so sorry.
Alicia says she did not see the message, but yes, ma'am.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, I sent you a message by Twitter, but that's okay. I didn't see the message, but yes, ma'am. Okay, cool. So Alicia's going to come on next week. And Alicia, we usually do 7:30 Tuesday night, grand finale. It's going to be really exciting. And then we can decide from there if we want to do like a season wrap up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we might need another episode to do that. We'll have to decide.
Yeah, we might.
I don't know.
Or we can talk after.
We can talk after, yeah. Because maybe Tanya would come on our season wrap up.
Yeah, Nikki and I were actually talking. Nikki finally caught up.
Oh, good. Yeah,
I
saw her in the chat.
Oh, she was. I can't see the chat because I didn't open the StreamYard app. I'm on the. Nikki's my podcast partner. Yes.
Oh, she is. Nicole Birch?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Cool.
Yes.
That's
my
awesome,
book bae.
Nicole. So maybe Nikki might want to come and talk about it.
Yeah, she finally caught up.
Awesome.
We both had just like a lot going on in the beginning of this season, so we couldn't really podcast about it, but we might do a finale podcast.
Ooh.
Liv recommendation brought me here. Tawny says. Do you know who Liv is, Rebecca?
I do not.
I don't know who that is.
Oh.
Is it? Everyone seems to know Tawny though. Tawny's popular in the chat, so everyone knows. Well, it's really nice to see you, Tawny. Okay, so we're probably gonna wrap up because it's like 10:30. I need my beauty sleep.
We're old women.
I need a lot of beauty sleep. Oh my gosh, last week we went so late, Rebecca? We went till like what time? And then the next day, oh my goodness.
we went to we had like another 3.5, 4 hour one.
Yeah, and then I had a staff meeting and it was brutal. I was like, oh my God. And I had to, you know what though? I didn't have to it wasn't Zoom. Thank God. It was by phone. It was a phone meeting. So I was like, oh my God, this is brutal. Like I went to bed with my makeup and just woke up. There's everything smeared all over the place. And then, yeah. So, is LMR here? Oh, that's nice, Nicole. Well, Nicole, I'm really glad that you're enjoying the show.
Yes.
And Tony Teflon is, I think he'll probably be doing some type of finale thing as well. I have a feeling. We can maybe ask him if he'll come on for our.
I think we can convince him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We could have like a 6-person panel.
Ooh.
It'd be like a fully stocked panel.
Yeah.
Everyone can talk about. Yeah, and Tawny Chicago, Heidi and Rebecca are awesome. Oh, thanks, Alicia.
Thank you, Alicia.
Alicia got to see me get drunk one time.
What time?
It was so funny because I was just like, I was confused because I was like, Justin, is Alicia the one who was in your birthday stream? And he goes, yeah, totally. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even make that connection. So Justin had a birthday stream and Alicia was there and Tony was there. And Jack was making me these drinks, he making me doubles. And I got so drunk and I just was like, finally, I'm like, I gotta go to bed. So Alicia got to see me like that.
I'm sure there have been people worse on other streams. I've heard stories.
Tony,
one thing we were talking about is one of Tony's streams where
someone vomited or something.
Oh,
can you imagine?
Yeah, I think I would have at least hang up the stream before I could would do something.
Oh my God, yeah.
Nikki and I got super hammered while recording once, but it's because I was grieving and I was super depressed, and we drank an entire liter of Jameson, those stout barrel, the stout.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? We drank an entire bottle. We recorded 5 or 6 hours, and I had to edit it down to 3 because so much of it was incoherent by the end. It
Oh,
was
Alicia
a
says she
hot mess.
remembers. She remembers when I got really drunk. And then Tony was teasing me because there's this guy named Phil who I don't even know who he is. This guy named Phil, and he had these like apple cheeks, like they were really rosy. And I was like, oh my God, Phil, your cheeks are like apples. And I kept going on and on about it. Alicia, do you remember that? And Tony, I didn't even remember, and Tony told me, he goes, Heidi, you were so funny. I'm like, oh my God, that is so humiliating.
You were like cute harassing, like you weren't sexually harassing, you were like
I was
cute
like
harassing.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, Phil, your cheeks are like apples.
That's
I don't, I don't get to flirt very much nowadays because, I'm an old married lady. So it was really fun. We had fun. But anyway, speaking of alcohol, Rebecca and I are going to be doing a Halloween episode, and we're going to dress up in costumes, and we're going to have cocktails. We'll have to maybe we'll have to figure out maybe a cocktail recipe.
Yes.
Clue.
That's a good idea.
And and I know Rebecca doesn't like Amazon, but if you just happen to have Amazon,
it's on Amazon.
If you're paying for Amazon,
yeah,
Clue is on Amazon, so you can watch it, which is awesome because it's actually a really good rip of the movie. Like it's actually and it gives you all 3 endings, and so you can choose the ending you like the best. I chose number 3.
Wait, did they have you choose?
No. They play all 3 endings. They just play all 3.
It's like because
in order.
Yes.
But I just happen to prefer ending number 3. That was my favorite ending.
Well, spoiler alert, but yes, ending number 3 is the correct ending.
Is the correct ending, yes. So, Alicia says Phil's such a sweetheart. Yeah, he took it. He was really nice about it. I don't think he was embarrassed or anything.
Yeah.
Phil, the issues guy. That's his name.
Oh.
That's so funny. Phil, the issues guy. Jenya said, I got auto-corrected. Heidi, don't highlight me. I was trying to say LMR. Okay, I won't highlight you. Now I want to highlight you. Yeah, so Rebecca and I are going to do a Clue live stream. We're going to talk about costumes. We're going to talk about editing. We're going to just talk about the movie, and we'll probably shoot the shit about other things.
Yeah.
We won't. I don't think we should do an order thing like we do normally, Rebecca, because remember we tried doing that with Supernatural?
No,
Supernatural with True Blood.
Like a top 10 for True Blood, and
it took us
we're
2 hours
in, and we're only on number 3, and I still have to go through my sex scenes.
Yeah, so we should just and there's no sex scenes unfortunately in Clue, so it'll be a sex simulated.
There's
there's some hanky panky.
Yeah, there's hanky panky. That's a good way of putting it. 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2. Plus 1. Thank you, Elisa.
Yeah, and then so anyway, so if you guys want to join us for cocktails, maybe we'll post a recipe ahead of time. So if anybody wants to make it,
that's a good idea.
I think I'll watch Clue tomorrow.
You should.
Yeah,
I always suggest getting high, but
no, then I'll be like panicking and calling 911 on myself.
Alicia says I have the full production of all 3 endings downloaded.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's like.
Oh, thanks, Chrissy. Chrissy, have you been here the whole time? I haven't seen you.
She just showed up.
I was going to say, Chrissy, I don't think you've been here this whole time. You know what I have to say I love about our group of people is that it's mostly women. Not that there's anything wrong with the guys, but
everything's wrong with guys.
No, I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying whenever you go into a live stream, it's always usually mostly guys. And it's kind of nice that we're all girls here.
Yeah.
There might be. If there's any guys here, I apologize. I do love you. I don't see any dudes right now, though.
Yeah. Well, Percy was here. Peter Griffin was here.
Oh, Peter Griffin was here. Yeah, he was here. He's one of our.
He always comes by for a bit.
He does.
But yeah, no, we have it's we got some
Yeah, we got some awesome women. And because I was telling, actually, because, I talked to these YouTube guys who, creators. And it's always all guys. They're all all these creators, the guys who teach about creating. It's always all guys. And I was trying to explain to one of the creators, this male creator, I said, it feels like maybe 80% of YouTubers are men. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really get to meet that many female creators. And it's sort of a little bit sad. I always wish there were more. So Linda, I don't know if she's still here. She's got a channel now. And Alicia, I think you said you were starting a channel.
I do feel like the like Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire community is a little bit more female centric.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Than the show itself?
Oh, Stanley Keith says he's out.
That's my cousin.
Sorry, Stanley. No, Stanley, you're in.
You're in. You're allowed.
Tony's saying, wait.
I just text him no.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I mean, I find that the fandom in general is a very like female centric fandom. Like when you go to the cons, like it is, the balance is just tips. I do still think like, you know, it is mostly male creators, but I feel like I think it's a pretty good group of female creators as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. It's just that I think I'm thinking more like in the YouTube creator community. Like,
yeah.
They tend to be like tech, like, you know, the tech guys.
Sure.
In
yeah. On the whole.
Yeah. The van.
You're right.
Van remodeling and gaming.
Well, and then also, and like the gamers, although
the gamers.
like, are they on YouTube anymore? I don't know what the gamers do anymore, but that's the whole.
So I'm in this one YouTube group, and it's like, I would say it's like 80% guys. So it's just like when you get to meet other, you know, female creators and other just you know, audience, it's just awesome. Like majority of my audience is female. I think it's 80%. But did I tell you, Rebecca, that I did have a lovely comment left on my channel about Clue, and this person says, "Oh my God, you're doing Clue! That's like my favorite movie."
Oh yeah,
you did. Oh, I did tell you that. Yeah. So that's very exciting. So hopefully we'll have some. And then if people haven't seen it, it's not going to be that big of a deal. We're gonna
I mean, I think it's going to be like nostalgic enough for a lot of people. And,
for sure.
Again, it's like you said, it's on Amazon. I'm sure it's not that hard to find.
And I'm going to decorate my set. I'm going to decorate. You know what by the way, Rebecca, remember how I had my fake glass of wine with the sparkles? I had the other one. I knocked it on the floor the other day. Like, I didn't break the glass, but I knocked like sparkles. Like, it's basically like sparkle stars everywhere. And and it's still like, there's still a bunch on the floor. So I think I'll redo my set and make it kind of like Halloween.
Yeah, I need to, I'll figure, not by next week, but.
You've got lights actually.
Yeah, but they're all burnt out, and like the other string that I have in here, I like where they are, so I'll get like Halloween lights.
Tanya says that she loves Clue.
Yeah, Clue is definitely like a very like it's just so of that time period, but obviously like a period piece in that time period. It's like it's really of like people of a certain age just like watched the shit out of it when they were kids.
Yeah, because like you say, it's kind of like the 80s, but
really
it's got that 1950s sort of.
Yeah.
And Tim Curry's in it.
Yes, Tim
Curry's
awesome.
in
it. Leslie Ann Warren, Madeline Kahn.
Madeline Kahn's amazing. I love her.
Christopher Lloyd, Martin Mull, Mike McKinnon. I'm gonna go home.
You know, sorry. Just random, I thought of this, Heidi. I was telling you about Xenogenesis trilogy. When Hippolyta wakes up in that white room, that whole beginning scene, it plays out almost exactly like the very beginning of the Xenogenesis trilogy too.
Okay, I have to definitely read that.
I thought, you should definitely read it. I thought of it when I was watching it. I was like, oh my God, like it's the same, like waking up naked on like a platform in this room, just this white room with no like exit or entrance. And anyway, it's really good. You should check it out.
Yeah, Tanya, I love old musicals. Actually, it's funny because one of my favorite episodes is the Meet Me in St. Louis episode. I love that episode because I was like grew up watching Judy Garland, and I used to always, whenever there was a costume party, I was dressed up like her for some reason. And so that was really fun. It was Gigi. If someone likes Gigi, I found my people. Tawny, I love Gigi. In fact, I have one of Gigi's costumes in my top 10 best costumes of all time. And I got a lot of flack about that because people were like, why is that in the list? And I'm like, because it's awesome. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous costume. Alicia's asking, I wonder if it's on Audible. Do you mean Clue?
Xenogenesis or Clue?
Or Xenogenesis. Oh, maybe she means Xenogenesis. Oh, Alicia says Clue and the Witches are
Witches.
childhood
The
movies I have
Witches.
watched.
I watched
continually.
Witches today.
The new one or the old one?
The old one. The new
Yeah,
one
the
comes
new
out on the
one's not out
22nd. It comes out on the 22nd. But
I
I
Is
should
it
watched
watch
the
it with
old
my
one today.
kids for
HBO?
Halloween. What's it rated? Is it family friendly?
I
The
think
Witches?
so.
Is it
Yeah.
Angelica Houston?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's fine because we watched Hocus Pocus I think last year.
Mm.
Okay,
I watched
so
that like twice already.
so before oh have you?
Yeah, I'm like all about spooky season.
I
I've
love
already watched
Halloween.
Hocus
Oh, yeah.
Pocus. I've
Oh,
watched
you know what's something that
Nightmare
really gave
Before
me?
Christmas and Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, those are
Oh,
so
yeah.
good. Something that really made me happy this week is like, because they're not, because of Halloween and some people aren't going to be going out and it's a little bit sad. So I put up my
Yeah.
decorations and I have this like inflatable thing. It's like a giant cauldron with like a witch and stuff like that. And it's been really cute. So I've been seeing like moms taking pictures of their kids in front of my display. It made me
Oh,
so
that's
happy.
cute.
Yeah, I just totally warmed my heart. Like there's this one little, he was like, I think 2 maybe. It's the cutest thing.
So the full moon is on Halloween.
But that's when you have which school though?
No, which school? We have the day off.
Oh, you have the day
Yeah,
off.
we have that weekend off.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So basically, the big cemetery close to me is called Greenwood. So I'm not gonna say more what I'm gonna do because
Oh, okay. Well, I'll probably do like if we can't go trick or treating, I'll probably just pick a.
I've
that, like, a
already
rising?
planned like
Are you bringing
I'm
people
not
the
gonna
dead back?
the dead.
What is that?
Raise the dead.
Rest the dead. Yeah,
But I am
Halloween
still
necromancy.
like
sorry,
graveyard.
Tanya.
No, I was gonna say I'm like my kid loves balloons and I always go overboard and I've already ordered over 100 balloons and I make balloon garlands for him and I'm gonna make him balloon garlands and then put like candy bars and stuff inside balloons for him. He likes popping them.
Oh
So
my god,
that's like what
you
I've
are
already
the
planned
best
for.
mom.
So Tanya, so for my birthday, I had a couple friends over. I have a roof, so we were like social distance on my roof. When my friends came over with balloons and a big llama balloon, and it was fine. And then finally, when I brought everything inside, poor little Penelope was freaked the fuck out by that llama balloon. She was not happy. It was by my bookcase, and then I figured out she wasn't going by her food or to her litter box.
Oh,
Into the
scared of the balloon.
Aw.
She was well, and then it was like it's like, oh, they think it's a bird of prey.
Mm.
It's just
Oh, poor Penelope.
Chrissy, so do you and Rebecca live in the same area? She said she did
No.
a nighttime cemetery of
Oh.
Greenwood.
oh, well then we do.
Oh, you do. I thought you meant do I live in the same area? No.
Oh yeah, no. Or Chrissy lives in New York. I know Alicia used to live around where I live now. Because I'm in Crown Heights, Chrissy. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, anyway, so guys, I want to thank everyone so much.
Yes,
for
thank you,
coming out
everyone.
tonight, and also Tanya, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We're
Yeah,
gonna
Thank
hopefully
you
do
for
this
having
again.
me. This was fun.
Oh, we loved having you. Thank you so much for coming. And do you want to tell everyone where they can find you? I did put some of your links in the description, but if you want to tell them.
You can find links to our podcast. Our podcast is 1,000 Eyes in One. If you go to thousandeyespodcast.com, you can find links for Apple Podcasts, Google, all of those, Spotify, everything. That's thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram as 1,000 Eyes in One, and Twitter as 1,000 Eyes One. And I generally am the one tweeting. Nikki's usually the one on Instagram, and we go back and forth with Facebook.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, and
Thank
actually,
you.
I actually have something to plug.
Oh yeah, okay, Rebecca, I'm gonna give you.
And I forgot to send links beforehand, but a feature film that I worked on during quarantine is premiering this Friday.
Oh my god!
Oh,
It's called
awesome.
Virtue. It's a adaptation of a screenplay or of a play that we basically turn into lots of Zoom calls. So it's on Broad. You can find it at Broadway on Demand, starting on Friday. It's called Virtue.
That is so cool, Rebecca.
Yeah.
So when did was it during quarantine that you were working on that one?
Mm-hmm. It
That
was
is very cool.
Yeah, it was like, 3, 4 crazy like the edit schedule was very quick and crazy, and then it took a little bit to finish it up. Actually, they initially called me about it like sometime in April, and it's online in October. That's very, 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 very fast. So
Wow, that is awesome.
especially like, and all the actors were in their own homes, so we sent them all iPhones, and it was it was interesting.
I
So
want to see that. That sounds so cool. And
yeah.
how long is it? Is it a 2-hour film?
No, oh no. I think we're at like 70 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But it's a feature.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna do a plug saying I'm gonna be on. Okay, I think we set the date. LMR is not here. I'm doing an episode on Tony's stream on the 23rd. I think that's what we decided, with LMR and Tony Teflon on his channel, and we're doing Interview with a Vampire. Woo! So excited!
Cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Love
I'm
that
really
movie.
excited.
I watched that recently too.
Yeah, it's on either HBO or Hulu.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of those.
So it's kind of fun because I love, like, it was Tony's idea actually, but I'm going to watch, like, it's Halloween month, so I'm going to be watching a bunch of fun it's my favorite season. I was telling Rebecca that the other day.
Yeah.
It's my favorite time of year. Thanks so much, Alicia, and we're really looking forward to having you, and I'm going to get to actually talk to you when I'm maybe sober. I don't know, maybe I won't be sober.
Oh yeah, because I have to. I'm hosting it.
No. I'll wait. I can wait. I'll wait a bit, and then I'll have. I can wait till either our Halloween special or I can just wait partly through the stream, and then I'll have a couple of drinks. It'll be fun though for Halloween because it'll be a Friday.
Oh yeah.
I have to get up like in the morning and work. Sub to Tone. You're gonna show that Interview with a Vampire. Yes. So that's going to be really fun. And LMR, I think you guys all know everybody, so it's really cool. Okay, so thanks so much, everyone. And I just want to say thanks to Chrissy. She's a late comer, but we appreciate you. Tawny, it was really nice to meet you. Alicia, as always. Jenya, Nicole, Nikki, getting to know you. Who else do we have here? Tawny. I don't know if I missed anybody. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Oh,
and everyone who was here earlier, Linda R, a great friend of ours.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Percy, thank you.
Shatara.
Yes, Shatara.
You guys rock. We really love you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to be back next Tuesday with the finale. I don't even know what the episode's called.
I don't know yet. But the finale of season 1 of Lovecraft Country.
Season 1 of Lovecraft. We've made it almost to the end.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. So take care and have a great week. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.